Mr. Chair?
Yes. Yes, Sheila.
Thank you. I believe that we have everyone from the meeting room from the wrong link in this room. And also I have an employee placed in that room to tell anyone else that comes in where to go. So you should be good to proceed.
All right.
Thank
we'll
you.
Also
I
change
apologize.
the link on the website.
I'm also
We'll
updating the link on the website. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing that right now.
The website is accurate. The agenda is what is inaccurate. So the link underneath the calendar on our website is where all of us are right now. The one in the agenda is incorrect. So if you change anything, please change the agenda. Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, we'll get started. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I'll call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Szymanski, would you lead us in the pledge?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. I have to unmute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. Again, sorry for the difficulties, but it's the world we live in, and patience is a virtue. So thank you very much. Right now, we have some recognition of some employees in their retirements. Hannah?
Yes, good morning. I'm excited to get to recognize two employees today. First of all, and Al is actually with us via Zoom. And so Al, thanks for joining us today. I'm recognizing Al Coslin for 41 years of service with the McLeod County Parks Department. Commissioners or Al, was there any words you'd like to say briefly?
No,
Al, how about...
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Al.
I just want to thank the McLeod County for letting me entrust me with the parks. It's been fun 41 years, and I will miss it.
Well, we will miss you. Thank you very much, Al. Commissioners, anything else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug.
Al, I'd like to, I'll personally thank you because, I served with you on the Parks Board for a number of years, and not only for your service, but for your honesty and your personal friendship. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Al, I think you've done an incredible job developing the parks. Your stamp of an impression is what makes our parks what they are today. And, having served the McLeod County and the area residents for 41 years is very highly commendable. And I congratulate you for that and wish you very well in your retirement.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Al, thank you very much for your dedication to McLeod County and working so hard on our county amenities through our parks and our fairgrounds. You would put in a lot of time, a lot of extra hours working with various grant applications, being able to bring things to McLeod County, and great looking parks, great looking environment that you leave behind. So thanks again for your work.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Al, I talked to you the other day and I congratulated you on retirement, but I'll do it again in public. And thank you very much for probably the only job you've had in your life outside of high school work. Since I know you're a little younger than I am, but thank you very much. You've made our parks and our county very admirable to anyone that has visited it over the years. So thank you very much for your service. Good luck in retirement.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Hannah, you have another one to
yes.
honor.
Thank you, Al, again for joining us this morning. Next, Craig is not here this morning, but I am excited to recognize Craig Gleiden of 20 years of service with the McLeod County Highway Department. Thank you, Craig, for your dedication.
Yes,
and I will note we usually would do this in person, and we have some award that we would also offer, and those will be sent to our retirees, but obviously we are not in person today. Thank you.
Okay, because of the nature of the meeting, we'll need to call a roll call of the commissioners. Please answer that you're here. Commissioner Kruger?
Here.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Here.
Commissioner Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Here.
and Commissioner Nagel is present. All right, moving on with the agenda. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Hearing none,
Hearing none, is
Kruger
there a
moves
motion
on the
to approve?
agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
I'll second. Holmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I move the
Commissioner
consent
Szymanski.
agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second. Oh,
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we're on to our COVID-19 update. Barrett.
Good morning, everyone. As of late yesterday, McLeod County had a total of 2,855 positive cases of COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. At last board meeting, which was December 1st, I reported 2,216 positive cases. So that's an increase of 639 cases over a 2-week period. We remain the same at 58% of those positive cases male, 52% being female. Unfortunately, we have had 30 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic. That's 15 in the last 2 weeks. So that's a pretty significant number there. At this time, we have 67 residents who are hospitalized with COVID-19 and 264 active cases. So that means 264 are still in their quarantine and isolation period. The race and ethnicity of those testing positive, we are at 84% white, 12% Hispanic, less than 1% African American, less than 1% American Indian, and the remainder are not reporting a race. The location of our COVID-19 positive tests, Glencoe is at 26%, Hutchinson at 41%, Lester Prairie 8%, Winstead 7%, Silver Lake 5%, Stewart 2%, Plato at 2%, Brownton at 4%, and the remainder are not reporting a location at this time. Our school rate, which comes out every Thursday, so as of last Thursday, we were at 211.30%. Most of our schools are at either full distance learning or at some type of hybrid, potentially for elementary students. We continue to have the free community testing event at the Hutchinson Armory that will continue through January of next year. At this time, we have 7 identified business clusters that we continue to work with. And as reported last time, most of our long-term care facilities, including our skilled nursing facilities and assisted living, have reported COVID-19 cases in either their residents or staff. The Health and Human Services, especially the local public health, our main priority right now is vaccination. I'm sure that you will have you can't turn on the news or look at any social media without hearing about vaccination. So we are heavily into that planning. We will not get any of the first doses. We will get some doses of the second vaccination once it becomes available, and we will help vaccinate the community as needed. And we continue to work with all of our partners and our hospitals on that information. McLeod County also continues to do our best at keeping up with our contact investigation, case investigation, and contact tracing. In November, we provided 264 hours of that, doing interviews with people who've been positive for COVID-19. And I think that is kind of it, unless people have questions for me.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug.
Barrett, is there anything on the horizon as far as getting any doses here, the frontline workers or whatever? I mean, you're absolutely correct. What I hear on the news is somewhat confusing some areas. I know the VA got some yesterday. Is there anything on the horizon to where some of our frontline workers or care centers get any doses?
Yes, Commissioner Kruger. The hospitals will be getting doses this week, potentially. I had to look at my calendar here. And they are considered what's phase 1A. And so they will be able to vaccinate their frontline healthcare workers at the hospitals. Because Glencoe, their skilled nursing facility, is attached, they will be able to vaccinate some of those healthcare workers as well. We're working very closely with our South Central Healthcare Coalition in that distribution plan. And so vaccines will start being administered as early as next week, fingers crossed. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Barrett, thank you. Sheila, is Kevin with us
Thank
today?
you.
Mr. Chair, Kevin did note that he had an update today. I do not see him though.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Probably hiding in the corner here in the Zoom meeting, but just got a few things to let you know kind of what's going on the last couple weeks. I know I haven't updated you guys for a while. It's not saying that I wasn't busy doing things. It's just my schedule didn't allow it and didn't have a whole lot of pressing things, but we're starting to see things kind of change a little bit at the state and stuff. So locally, we're seeing a little more increased demand for our PPE, personal protective equipment. So I know I'm taking a few more requests in the last week of, what do we have for personal protective equipment and how can we help out agencies and stuff. So we're continuing to work with those affected agencies as well. As Barrett mentioned, there's a lot of activity happening in the vaccination plan, and I'm helping out Health and Human Services and Barrett and the rest of her staff and the COVID team to get information as far as updated numbers for public safety. So how many people are in each department, how many people are interested in receiving the vaccine at this point, how many are registered under the Emergency Medical Services Regulatory Board. This is all information that the State Department of Health is asking us. So I'm helping public health with that as well, and answering a lot of questions that they have about the vaccination process and everything else that we're kind of dealing with this. Another big topic that I've been kind of working on is that's kind of really been kind of a morbid subject, but fatality management. So I know there's, as Barrett said, there's a lot of increase in deaths. I think we've had 30 Barrett reported, including 15 in the last 2 weeks. So that's kind of really starting to tax our funeral homes. I think right now they're sitting okay on a lot of things. There's some personal protective equipment, some disposable gloves that maybe one of the funeral homes that I've been in contact here lately is running into. So we're working with those agencies to see how the county can help them with that. Also kind of reporting information like that to the state. They're, of course, very interested in the cumulative deaths. Statewide is over 4,400. And we're starting to see a lot of increases there as well. So right now, I think our funeral homes are doing okay. I think their staff is really busy. and stuff, but they are seeing, like Barrett said, a slight rise in the increase in the death rate. So that's obviously the COVID-related deaths, and then they're dealing with all the normal deaths and funerals that they normally have. So just kind of wanted to at least update you that we are in contact with them, coordinating with them as and relaying information to the state. So with that, I'll stand if there's any questions.
All right, any questions for Kevin? Otherwise, we'll move on to Sheila. Sheila, anything for us?
I have no changes from our last meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. All right, thank you everyone for the work, and we'll continue to get updates at our meetings. All right, we're on to the agenda of a public hearing. It is regarding some different ditch systems. I need a motion to open the public hearing, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to open the public hearings.
Second by Szymanski.
Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Here now we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. We consider the public hearing open. Connie or Mike, who would like to start?
Good morning,
It
everyone.
looks like Mike.
Mike is the purpose of the hearing.
Mike, if you're there, you want to go over that for us?
The purpose of the hearing, is that better?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the purpose of the hearing is for you to receive any additional input that there may be regarding the report of the viewers. And if there are no changes, then to consider the proposed orders that have been included within your packet. So there is a proposed order for each of the 4 ditches. And I have reviewed each of those, and they are consistent with the viewers' reports and with the decisions that the board made as far as the effective date for the buffer strips, the effective or the requirement of the seeding by May 15th of the permanent strip vegetation, and what the assessment and length of assessment is going to be. Thank you.
Very good. Connie, anything before I open up to public comment?
No, at our last public hearing, we did approve the redeterminations, and Joe, the head viewer, did summarize all of the changes. There are members of the public here, so we may have comment, and Joe is here also if we need any more summary or description from him. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug.
I was comfortable after our meeting or hearing the other day, but I did get a couple of questions yesterday, Connie. And it was mainly on, obviously I read the letter that we got sent to us, but I got some other mainly on, they didn't get sent out, the changes. Could you comment on that? And I didn't have them at my fingertips when I got the questions, so I didn't know the changes. I did refer 1 or 2 to Ryan or you, but.
Sure. So the changes are addressed at the meeting before we adopt the viewers report. We did go through them at that time. We did not mail out additional reports to everyone as there were no major changes. There were just minor changes as dealt with individual landowners. All
right, and I assume that's the individual landowners that got a hold of me, and I did refer them over, so I would hope they either came to the hearing or adjust the changes. I was confident at the time we made the changes that they were an agreement between our viewer and the landowners, so I was confident that they were good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're we're going to open up for public comment, and I'll let Sheila go over most of this, but just so everybody knows that's here at the fairgrounds with us, if you wish to speak to the board or ask a question to Connie or Mike or whomever, we'll need you to go up to the podium, give us your name, and that will make you quote unquote part of the meeting virtually. If you're online, and Hannah and Liz, I'll need you to help me with this. Either get my attention somehow, some way, but remember, I can't see everybody's face on my screen. But so the most effective way is to put in the chat box that you have a question or you have a comment or whatever. Hannah and Liz are online and they're very good at getting my attention and they'll interrupt me. But other than that, we'll try not to interrupt each other and talk over each other because it becomes very draining on the meeting and we don't get the facts across. So Sheila, anything you want to add?
Mr. Chair?
Just a second, Sheila? Anything you want to add?
Most of that is what I was going to go over. I'm going to go to the podium to assist anyone from the audience. Could anyone in the audience please raise their arm if they plan to make a public comment?
Mr. Chair, if I could suggest that you take them one ditch at a time in the order that they are in paragraph A. So start off with ditch 5 and then look at the proposed order and then either approve it or do whatever you need to do.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I will do that. So, all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Connie, all right. Connie, did you have something?
No, that was my suggestion also. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr.
Right,
Chair.
very good. Yes, Sheila.
Do you have anyone online in the chat that is waiting to speak? If you click on chat.
Yeah,
I'm watching it right now.
Yep. No one's currently in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to take it one at a time here. We'll use Mike's suggestion. Redeterminate of benefits and damages, CD5. Is there anyone in the public, either online or in the audience, that would wish to address the board? Hearing and seeing none. Connie or Mike, any comments you'd like to give regarding the system?
Mr. Chair,
There's nothing in the chat, Joe.
Mr. Chair, just that the proposed order is consistent with what was presented and determined by the board at its meeting on December 8th, and I've reviewed the proposed order. Connie did the preparation of it, and it's consistent. And if there aren't any changes, then I would recommend that you approve it.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve order of CD5 redetermination of benefits and damages.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger for CD5. Is there a second?
I will second that, Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Ron.
Yes, I received communications from one landowner who could not attend the meeting today, and he asked that I convey his concerns. He has his name is Wayne Matthews, and he's on CD5, and he is disagreeing with the redetermination of benefits. You know, I see in our possible actions by the Drainage Authority, we can consider and approve the findings or continue the drainage hearing as necessary and reset. At this point, the other alternative for landowners that are not in agreement with the redetermination is the appeal process. They have 30 days to appeal. And, I just wanted to let the Drainage Authority know that we do have comments from one landowner who is not in favor of the redetermination on his parcel.
Thank you for that information.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug.
That was one of the calls I had. And I wasn't clear on if he was against the initial redetermination of benefits. And I know we addressed it at the hearing, Commissioner Szymanski, and I wasn't clear that there was a message out there from him, because we did some changes on that, and I thought it was favorable to what he wanted. So I'm a little unclear there myself.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
In the revision of the redetermination of benefits for Mr. Matthews' parcel, there was a small reduction, but I think he was looking for a much larger reduction. So I'll let the Drainage Authority determine their decision on this process. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
perhaps you would like Mr. Jacobs to provide a summary of what the discussion has been with Mr. Matthews?
Perhaps I would.
Yeah.
You need to speak at the podium into the microphone, or at least towards the computer so you can be part of the meeting.
Mr. Jacobs, one moment, we can't hear you. I'm coming to fix it.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
Yes, this is Joe Jacobs, and I'm the lead viewer for the redetermination team. And when we did Mr. Matthews' property, that area in general on CD5 is relatively low. It's low-lying areas, and the biggest concern from what my takeaway from what Wayne is concerned about is the areas that were valued at A-. Those are essentially low-lying areas on his property that aren't getting adequate drainage as the ditch is functioning now. We labeled them A- versus A's because historically those areas were being utilized. In the historical photos, they showed that area was meadow hay, and the valuation for meadow hay we designated as an A- value. Typically, it's like right around a $1,200 value of benefit. However, in that system, we did lower the entire valuation by 50% because that system isn't functioning as per the NRCS recommendations for complete adequate drainage. So there are reductions in the amount that land is getting essentially $600 an acre of value. And the viewers and myself, the other two viewers and myself, we wanted to reflect what benefit it was across the entire system. We did give him a A- valuation, which is consistent with the other low-lying areas that currently aren't being completely adequately drained. However, there is some benefit there. Without that ditch, you would have 3 foot of water on his property majority of the year. And right now, albeit it is wet, there is a potential to graze and take meadow hay off during the dry summer months. That being said, we also did on the December 8th meeting, we did reduce, changed one of the values. It was a B type value, and we changed that to a D, which is more of a runoff value. That was done for the fact that after reviewing his property, there really, because of wetland restrictions, he isn't able to tile. And one of the determining functions that the reasons we use a B type value is if there is a potential for subsurface drainage. And because of current restrictions, those values would not be recognized, or there's no way that he could take advantage of the ditch to that capacity. So the viewers, to summarize, the viewers felt he isn't getting the best drainage. He is getting some value, and that's why he received the lowest classification that we could give him as far as the value. And we did discuss that with him. You know, from what he relayed to me, he felt that there was some value. He just didn't necessarily agree with the amount of that value. So I hope that clarifies a little bit. I did call him a couple times before that December 8th meeting to try to discuss this with him in person, but I didn't get a call back. So I know that this is something that he was concerned about. He did relay that he was concerned. So just if you have any other questions, I'll be able to address those.
All right, before I let you away from the podium, I'm going to ask the commissioners if they have any questions for you so we can try to stay organized here. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Joe or Connie,
Yes,
I wanted to know what his damages were, what he was assessed before the redetermination and what he will be after the redetermination as it sits now, as after your corrections, Joe.
I don't have those papers in front of me, Connie. Do you have that available?
Because one of the questions that I was asking that I really would like an answer on is he conveyed to me that the values after redetermination or his assessments went up. And, you know, there has to be, in my mind, with that type of land, has to be a good reason why it would have went up. Normally when we redetermine, we pick up more acres and they go down. So that would be my question.
As I remember when I worked with him, it was a minimal change, but yes, it did go up. And we can't really speak to how the redeterminations were done in the past, Doug, and I think they were done by a Chamberlain, but I'm not positive.
I mean, I do know the area of the land, and Mr. Szymanski, you can chime in, but I do know two things. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to lock into something that is really hard to change afterward. And number two, that area, I do know, and I know a couple of the other landowners around there, and all they use it for is hunting. I mean, they've tried everything else to farm it, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. Well, Doug, do you have any other questions right now?
And even for grazing was
Joe or Connie? Otherwise, I'm going to ask the other commissioners.
Mr. Chair.
All right, Commissioner Szymanski, yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Joe, thank you for the review and summary of the Matthews parcel. The question I have is in redetermination, assessing the values and so forth, is this based on how the ditch is performing currently, or how the ditch would perform if it was restored to its original condition?
That's a very good question. And when we look at how the ditch is constructed, or how it was constructed as designed. Whether there are issues right now on the system, I believe there probably are. Are those able to be remedied by doing subsequent cleanouts or further maintenance of the system, removing any subsidence issues? I know that's one of the things that the drainage the team, basically the county, is looking at doing on systems that have already been redetermined. Is they're looking at seeing areas of improved repairing the systems and getting them back to what they were originally designed to be. In the case with ditch 5, I do believe that system would be improved the conditions would be improved if that original design was reestablished, or basically the capacities of the ditch as it was originally designed, whether because removing any types of subsidence issues and other areas where, that's these historical systems, they do need to be maintained, and would further maintenance bring that back to how it was performing in the past? I would certainly think it would. I can't obviously guarantee that, but when we do a redetermination, we look at what the original intent of the ditch was, and we try to give a equitable value based on that. So,
thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir. Mike, go ahead.
This is a final order. It would be very necessary that you be sure about what your actions are. If you are unsure, I would recommend that you not adopt the final redetermination of benefits and damages, but continue it for 2 weeks to your December 29th meeting so that any questions can be answered. You aren't ever going to make everybody happy, but if you have questions about what is being done, then I would urge you not to adopt the final redetermination of benefits and damages.
All right. With that information, is there any interest in tabling this for 2 weeks? It would be just right now, County Ditch 5.
There is a motion on the floor, and
I understand that, Doug.
I know, but I'm just trying to clarify. Listening to Mike, I mean, I do have some interest in tabling it to answer your question, but we end up in this little corner where we can't make everybody happy. And I mean, you do the best you can. I actually would like to hear from Mr. Jacobs. I did hear what you just said, but I mean, if you change one, you got to change them all. Where are we? I mean, what really could we do in this situation? You have more experience with this than I do. That was for Joe.
When you talk about areas where it's not a clear cut, as far as the true impact of the system, for example, if an area is completely dried, it's pretty easy. If it's not drained at all, it's pretty easy. But when you have an area that the ditch, for one reason or another, isn't performing as it was originally designed, we're looking at the photos from the 1940s and 50s. It was clearly that there was producing meadow hay. Whether been in the last few years, we've been in a wet cycle. That certainly has been the case. But I do believe that there's areas in Ditch 5 that could be maintained, and would there be a response to that? I believe there would be. To answer your question, Commissioner, if we were to reduce this person's soil, we would really have to look at, all of them. The viewers and we did review this specific site, and, there have been across the board reductions in the total value that was given to this type of soil in this system. So there have been those reductions. We stand really behind what the redetermination, the report that we put out, as far as these soils, these systems. It might be, obviously it's your discretion on how you handle this, but I don't really know, besides changing the value of those A minuses to a lower amount, but that would that would change everybody in the system, and we have to make those modifications in the entire report, which we could do, but it would push this project back.
Thank you, Joe. One last question. How much did the buffer strip affect this? I mean, obviously when you're buying easements on the buffer strip, is that part of the reason the damages are benefits went up, or am I on the wrong track? Joe?
No, I don't think the buffers impacted anything on that. I'd have to look at the numbers. One reason that his percent didn't go down is because I'd have to look at his map. I don't have his numbers and his calls, but historically, if they're typically in the old valuation process, the viewers would value only the A and B lands, and they wouldn't look at the upland areas. So if a landowner has upland areas and low-lying areas, then this new the way that we value the properties and the way the redeterminations are done now, those upland areas are also being considered, and there's a value placed on that. So just because a person's getting a redetermination doesn't necessarily mean their values are going to go down if he has a significant amount of upland areas as well.
Thank you for the clarification, Joel.
All right,
Mr. Chair.
Doug, anything else?
No, I'm sorry for dragging it out. I just know this is the final hearing, but I just want to feel, I just want it aired out to what we're doing here. Thank you.
Commissioner Wright?
Yep, thank you. I think after hearing what Mr. Jacobs had to say, I think we need to move forward today with this. There's always a plot of land somewhere that's on the low side. And I did hear him say that without the ditch, this could potentially be holding a few feet of water, which means that there is the ditch is providing benefit to the land. Even though it might be saturated at times, there's still a benefit being given. And I've heard it a couple times, we can't make everybody happy, but we do have an obligation to determine what is fair for everybody on the system. And it seems as though because this property does have a benefit, that it needs to be included at this capacity. So I think we need to move forward. I've heard many times that the ditch is not operating properly, and I think the way that we've been handling things for the last few years is we get these ditches redetermined, so we get the right landowners paying the bills, and then we move ahead and we start to make a project out of that to get this ditch system functioning the way that it's supposed to be. And I think that's where those are the steps that we need to continue to follow. It's unfortunate that we can't make everybody happy, but we have to determine what is fair for everybody on the system. So I think I'm prepared to be in favor of moving forward today on this.
Mr. Chair?
All right, and yes, we do have a motion on the floor. Yes, Mike, go ahead.
There are two issues with Ditch 5. One, it was undersized when it was built, and it's gone downhill from there. So what the viewers have to view is what would the benefits be if this ditch were returned to its as-built and subsequently improved status. This is not, this ditch without an improvement is not ever going to be a perfect ditch. And the chance of an improvement in the future is not good. But a repair would substantially improve what it is, what its current effectiveness is. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one last comment. I do agree. This is the step forward in doing what needs to be done there. I think it is the right thing to do. It's just the first step to try to make the ditch work better.
Commissioners, any other comments before I call the question?
Mr. Chair, just the last comment in that, you know, and one or two particular landowners are dissatisfied. They do have an appeal process available to them. So I encourage them if they want to remedy this dispute, they may want to appeal.
Yes, thank you, Ron. Sheila, are you trying to tell me there's a public comment or not?
No, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to note, since we have new public members that came in during the hearing so far, that if there is someone that needs to comment, they need to raise their hand, let us know, and we'll make an arrangement for social distancing.
Very good. All right, seeing and hearing no more comment, again on CD5. All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Aye.
and Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries on CD 5, 5-0. All right, findings and order on CD 13. We are again in the public comment. Does anyone wish to address the board either in the audience or online on County Ditch 13? Commissioners, Connie, Mike, any information you'd like to give?
Nothing.
Very good. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the findings and redetermination of County Ditch 13.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Thank you, Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. CD 29. Anyone from the public in the audience or online that wishes to address the board? Commissioners, Mike or Connie, any information you'd like to provide?
Oh, thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
What is the pleasure of the board? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the findings and order for redetermination of benefits on CD 29.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Kruger.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. CD 15A, redetermination benefits and damages. Anyone from the audience or online wish to address the board? Board members, Connie or Mike, anything you'd like to discuss?
Nothing.
Thank you both.
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Szymanski.
I would move the approval of the findings and order of redetermination of benefits on CD 15A.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Wright.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Any more business to come before this public hearing? Mike, Connie, anything else?
Nothing.
All right, very good. Motion by Commissioner Kruger to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Palmer.
There's a lot of action there. Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Public hearing is closed. Thank you, everybody. That is more difficult than you realize to navigate. All right, Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Jill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you this morning. I'm Jill Bankson.
Good
I'm
morning.
the executive
Thank you.
director for the Ohio County HRA and also serve as the executive director for the McLeod HRA. So I'll just be going through the handout in your packets this morning. The HRA was established by the county board in 1980. The purpose at that time was to establish the Housing Choice Voucher Program in the county. At that point in time, many HRAs in the state were setting up housing authorities to either start the Housing Choice Voucher Program or the Public Housing Program. So your service area for your McLeod HRA is all of McLeod County except for the city of Hutchinson. The city of Hutch has its own HRA. Excuse me. However, we don't do the same programs. The city of Hutch has public housing, high-rise building, and they also do some other rehab programs and loans. So the Housing Choice Voucher Program is your largest activity that the HRA does, and it assists up to 121 households per month. And we help households by making partial rent payments on their behalf to private landlords. So households who receive a voucher can live anywhere in McLeod County, including the city of Hutch, and that's by state statute. And they can take their vouchers elsewhere, meaning vouchers are portable. So if a household decides to move to Minneapolis, they can take their voucher to Minneapolis. And that HRA decides whether or not you will pay for their voucher in Minneapolis, or they will absorb it into their own program. So in fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020, rent payments were made to 59 private landlords, equaling $525,601, or about $43,800 per month. And it assisted over the year 141 households. Tenants pay 30 to 40% of their gross income towards their rent, and the program pays allowance up to a payment threshold. So a few statistics about your program. Your program mostly serves disabled and elderly people. 68% of your households are disabled or handicapped, and 19% are elderly heads of households. 77% reside in the city of Hutch, 12% in Glencoe, 3% in Wester Prairie, 4% in Winsted, and 1% in Brownton, 1% in Stewart, and 3% have taken their vouchers elsewhere outside of McLeod County. 4% receive public assistance as their sole source of income. 62% receive Social Security or SSI. 26% are working households, and 73% are female heads of households. So your program is serving the most needy households in your county. Again, 68% are disabled or handicapped, and 19% are elderly heads of households. The program does have a waiting list of 390 households, and your waiting list has been closed since September of 2020. Whenever we open the waiting list, we typically close it when it gets to a few hundred people, just for the ease of administrative work. And then when we work down that number, then we'll open up the waiting list again. When we do have it open, we give preferences to households to move them to the top of the wait list. So each preference receives 1 point. So our preferences are for elderly, disabled, veterans, and residents of McLeod County. And so the more points you have, the higher on the wait list you are. At the beginning of this month, in December, we applied to the Department of Housing and Urban Development to become what's called a moving to work agency. Currently, there are about 3,300 public housing authorities in the United States. Only 39 of those have designation as a moving to work agency. And we made application in 2019 to HUD saying we were interested in also becoming one of those agencies. And we were invited by HUD to submit a larger application. So we'll hear more about that in 2021. But by having that designation, what it means is we will receive more flexibility to move away from some of the traditional rules of the program and make them more locally designed. And the intent is to make families become, push them more towards self-sufficiency and reduce their neediness for the program. Also, because you have more disabled and elderly on the program, we want to do more programming to make them, to improve their quality of life and make them more invested into the community. So we look forward to that. It'll greatly reduce the burden of the program on staff. It'll make it easier for landlords and tenants to understand the program and use the program. And hopefully we'll be doing more with self-sufficiency in the program. Moving down onto the second page, we also annually in January apply for a set aside of bonds through Minnesota Housing that bankers use to lend to first-time home buyers in the county. We've been doing that for a number of years. So in this past year, you had an allocation for your county of $500,633.36. And as of August 31st, the banks in the county that are Minnesota Housing lenders did use their full allocation for 15 loans. In 1996, the HRA began constructing market rate townhomes with your authority for the HRA to issue bonds. Looking down at that table, I saw as I was waiting here, we have some bad information. So I'm giving you some updated numbers now here. So as of 6/30/2019, your balance for your 1996 bond is $523,427. It matures in September of 2027. And with that bond, you built 4 units in Stewart, 8 in Broughton, and 8 in Lester Prairie. The 1997 bond has a balance of $554,678 as of 6/30/2019. And with that bond, you built 4 in Silver Lake and 16 units in Glencoe. The 99 bond has a $602,852 balance. And with that bond, you built 16 townhomes in Glencoe. And in 2017, we did a refunding of your last bond. And it has a current balance as of 6/30/19 of $898,086. And you built 8 units in Glencoe, 4 in Broughton, and 4 in Stewart with that. The bond project has worked very well. All the housing units are 1,100 square feet. All are 2 bedrooms, 1 bath with attached single garages. Units rent between $560 and $675 per month, depending on the community, with Stewart and Broughton being on the lower end and getting into Glencoe, Lester Prairie, and Silver Lake on the higher end. For the 3 oldest bonds, there's a debt service agreement or operation and maintenance deficit agreement between the HRA and the county, which describes the circumstances under which the county will either provide the HRA with funds or allow the HRA to levy should projects operate at a deficit. Fortunately, that's never happened and we've never called upon that. Current annual debt service payments are $298,106 per month. And your HRA for the past few years, your historical occupancy rates have ranged between 99% and 100%. So with that, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Jill?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Thank you very much for the report. Yes, go ahead.
I would note that as of the end of 2018, the HRA was in a negative net worth status. In the year 2019, they have made a dramatic improvement, and they are in a positive balance according to page 10 of your audit for 2019. And what that means is that the HRA is effectively managing, they're accumulating net worth, and they are making sure that the guarantee that the board has given in the past won't be needed into the future, and the HRA should be given thanks for that.
I agree, and thank you, Mike, for bringing that up.
Mr. Chair?
Anything else from the commissioners? Yes.
Mr. Chair? I just, I mean, I really don't know the history other than some of the stuff I read in here, but I do at this time want to thank the board. They do their participation is excellent. They're concerned about what we do, and Jill Bankston, our executive director, makes it easy for us. I know she works hard, but she makes it easy. She spells it all out, and with the participation, I'm glad to see it going in a positive manner, and it is working well. Once you get to meet some of these people and see how they do, it's nice. I mean, it's good to know. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, Commissioner Kruger.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
Jill, looking into the future, and again, realize this is up to your HRA board to make these determinations, but do you anticipate adding additional units in some of the smaller communities in the next 5 years, or to handle some of the backlog on your waiting list?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Szymanski. Our board has not discussed adding additional units. And maybe just a clarification, people that are on the voucher program, they do not live in your market rate townhomes. Your townhomes are rent at a level that is too high for the voucher holders. So voucher holders pay up to 40% of their income, gross income, when they come on the program for rent and utilities that they're required to pay. So with that threshold, people that live in market rate townhomes have to pay all the utilities on top of the rent. So that throws your market rate townhomes out of the Section 8 program. So none of your Section 8 tenants are living in those units.
Okay. With that, Jill, thank you very much. Sorry for putting up with our technical difficulties today. Seems to be everything we touch breaks today. So, but thank you very much for the presentation. All right, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
All right, Health and Human Services. Mike, are you still available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So we have quite a lengthy Health and Human Services items to take, and I've asked Mike to review it and see which can be taken together or need to be taken separate. Mike, can you go over that for me?
Sure. The first 4 items, A, B, C, and D, are all semi-independent living skills contracts, and you're adopting a rate of $10.55 per 15-minute period of time. It's just with 4 different providers. You are free to take all 4 of those with one motion.
Thank you. And the rest need to be separate. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. With that, Barrett, why don't you go through items A through D? And I guess if there's some repeat verbiage, you don't need to do that. But then we'll take those as one motion.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning again. I do have Angie Nelson joining me in case there is any questions on these particular first 4 items. She's the Social Services Supervisor with HHS. So the first 4 items, as Mr. Young said, all relate to the semi-independent living services of SILS. The rate will be the same for all of them. It's calculated at $10.55 per minute. So our semi-independent living services are needed by adults with developmental disabilities or related conditions to successfully live in the community. The goal of SILS is to support people in ways that will enable them to achieve personally desired outcomes and lead self-directed lives. So I'm asking the board to consider approval of the purchase of service agreement with Avron Homes, Diversified Lifestyles, Eon Inc., and REM South Central Services to provide SILS services for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Mr. Chair.
And that's at $10.55 per 15 minutes, correct?
Per 15 minutes, yes.
All right, thank you. Sheila, yes, go ahead.
That was my clarification. Thank you.
All right.
My apologies.
What are the wishes? What are the wishes of the board? Remember that I'd like to take items A through D under social services together.
Mr. Chair, yes. I would move the approval of these 4 contracts. They are very much needed to keep our system working as best we can. Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second by Commissioner Szymanski.
Thank you, Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing now, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, Barrett, item E.
Thank you. Item E, consider approval of the purchase of service contract with West Central Industries to provide supported employment services for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Supported employment services provide paid work and other services as a step in the rehabilitation process for those who cannot be readily absorbed in the competitive labor market or during such times as opportunities for them in a competitive labor market do not exist. This includes long-term employment, work activity, and supported employment. Services will be reimbursed at a rate of $13.53 a day for a full day, so over 4 hours of center-based employment, $9.06 a day for a partial day, 4 hours or less of center-based employment, and $273.73 a month for individual supported employment in the community.
Any questions on item E?
I would move to approve item E, the service contract with West Central Industries. Kruger?
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second by Commissioner Wright.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger? Commissioner Kruger? How do you vote?
Sorry, yes.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Sheila, just so you know, we're getting randomly muted here. For some.
Yes, I'm doing that when that feedback is happening. Thank you for talking about that, because I'm just going to ask everybody that is online right now, make sure you are not logged in on both your computer audio and your phone audio, and that should not happen. So that is why I did that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you,
Item
Andrew,
F,
for joining.
Barrett.
Item F, consider approval of the contract for services with Donna England to provide support services to children and families for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Services that may be provided include parenting assistance, money management, meal planning and grocery planning, learning appropriate social skills, and independent living skills. Services will be reimbursed at a rate of $26.52 an hour and will not exceed $26,520.
Thank you. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move the approval of the contract for services with Donna England, the calendar year 2021.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second, Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing now, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Item G.
Thank you. Item G is similar to the previous item. Consider approval for the contract for services with Laurel Olson to provide support services to children and families for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Services will be reimbursed at a rate of $36 an hour and will not exceed $36,000.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the contract services of Laurel Olson.
Second,
Motion
Kruger.
by Commissioner Wright. Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item H.
Consider approval of the purchase of a one-year subscription to Seneca Family of Agencies annual Family Finding Search Services for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. The one-year subscription includes 30 family finding searches at a rate of $20 per search, totaling $600.
All right. Item H. Any questions?
Mr.
Move
Chair.
to approve, Paulmeyer.
Second by
Motion by
Szymanski.
Commissioner Polmeyer, second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor. Excuse me, Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Item I.
Consider approval of the contract for services with Ashley Hubble for clinical supervision for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Clinical supervision will be provided at a rate of $138 an hour, not to exceed a total amount of $8,280.
All right, I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
Paulmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Barrett, go ahead.
Item J, consider approval of the contract for services with Richard Decker for clinical supervision for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Clinical supervision will be provided at a rate of $161 an hour, not to exceed a total amount of $9,660.
Mr. Chair, Kruger moves to approve item J with
Thank you,
the
Doug.
service contract with Richard Decker.
Thank you, Doug. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Thank you, Ron. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item K, I believe.
Consider approval of the purchase of service contract with Woodland Centers to provide detoxification services, adult residential crisis services, and youth residential crisis services for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Services will be provided at a per diem of $580 per day for detoxification services, $395 per day for adult residential crisis services, and $555 per day for youth residential crisis services.
Any questions on item K?
Move to approve, Paulmeyer.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Wright.
Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Item L.
Item L, my final agenda item. Consider approval of the 2021 cooperative agreement with McLeod County Health and Human Services and the McLeod County Attorney's Office to provide fraud investigation services for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. The McLeod County Attorney's Office will provide welfare fraud investigation services at a rate of $127 an hour for attorney work and $33 an hour for investigative work, not to exceed a maximum annual amount of $22,000.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, Kruger moves to approve.
I'll take you as a second, Doug.
Okay.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Barrett, I know you said that was the last one, but we have an item M here. Is that being pulled?
Oh, I don't. Oh, no, it is not being pulled. I must not have it on my agenda. My apologies. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger. Consider approval of the 2021 Shared Services Agreement with the Southwestern Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium for 2 regional housing specialist positions, 2 FTE, for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. SMOC will reimburse McLeod County 5% above salary and benefits for administrative cost. So we are the host county, which means we do the administrative portion, and so we are reimbursed at 5% above the salary of those 2 positions.
Very good. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Szymanski moves to approve the contract with SMOC for 2021.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Vote, Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Barrett, anything else?
No, thank you very much, Commissioners.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, and I'm going to apologize to John, Mike, and Matt in advance, we're going to move you back in the agenda just a little bit, Mark. We're going to take environmental services right now. If you're prepared for that. And he's shaking his head yes, whether he wants to or not. So we will be on to that based on, we have members of the audience here that I think would like to address the board, and that is just fine. So with that, Sheila, would you like to go over a few things?
Yes, Mr. Chair. First, are we going to item B under environmental services or starting with A?
We'll start with A. We'll take the
Okay,
entire...
thank you. So then, Mark, hold on 1 second, please. So all of the members of the audience that are here, if you could just show your hand if you know that you plan to provide public comment. Okay. When you're using the podium computer where Mark Koletsky is standing right now, our Environmental Services Director, you must press the space bar only while you are presenting. You can tell that it is difficult to mix in-person and virtual attendance. So you have to wait until the person is completely done speaking before you would press the space bar and start speaking. Only one person at the podium at a time. If you're from the same household and going up together, that is fine. You must identify yourself by name and location. And we will sanitize the computer podium in between people. So I will come up and do that if there are more than one people public commenting. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Good morning, everyone. So with that being said, item A, we do have 3 items. Item A, we'll take that quickly. It's a consider approval to enter into a 4-year agreement with Stearns County to market baled OOC cardboard fiber number 11, specific classification of waste paper received at the McLeod County Material Recovery Facility at a cost of $10 per ton. This is something we've talked about in the past at our Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting. And so we are basically brokering for Stearns County. They currently do not have their baler purchased and up and running yet, so we anticipate loads to be shipped to us hopefully sometime mid-2021. But we are simply a broker helping them, and we would be receiving $10 a ton.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This is fairly easy revenue our way, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Kruger seconds.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Thank you. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger? Oh, all right. Ron, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question from Mark. The OCC, is that being delivered to our facility and then shipped, or is that being direct shipped from the Stearns County facility?
That will be coming into our facility. We would store that in the warehouse till we have enough for a load to be sent out, and then we'd credit them, and then we would receive that $10 per ton for our handling.
All right, thank you. That answers my question.
All right, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item B, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So item B, it is consider approval of conditional use permit 20-20 by Daniel Rogers, representing Acomas Energy, Minneapolis, Minnesota, for the essential service of a 1 megawatt community solar array system. And just to confirm, I do believe Daniel Rogers is on this call or on this meeting via Zoom via remote. This system will be interconnected to an XL Energy substation for the purpose of electrical generation through solar panels to be known as South Garden LLC on property owned by Thomas G. Horseman. The applicant has negotiated an 8-acre land lease agreement with the property owner. The lifetime of the solar garden per the project submittal is estimated at 35 years. The existing land use is tillable acreage with physical characteristics of gently rolling tillable acres with soil described as prime farmland per the McLeod County Soil Survey. The property is zoned agricultural and is located in the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 16 in Winsted Township. The Winsted Town Board recommended denial at their November 12th, 2020 meeting due to the property being prime farmland. I need to correct that. That is an inaccurate statement. They did not deny based on prime farmland, and I do want to read what they sent to our office after hearing both of these requests at their meeting in November. Standard conditions, proof of liability insurance, decommission bond, and plan in place, minimum of 25,000 or more. All signage on site to be minimum size of 4 foot by 6 foot long with all contact information provided in case of emergency. Signage to be visible from access point. Approved landscape plan for screening on all adjacent property owners or roadways. Stray voltage testing to be done on site pre-construction as well as post-construction at the expense of solar farm operation. Testing to be done in accordance of the solar farm in Winsted Township with results provided to the township. In-person education awareness with local fire district in case of fire or natural disaster. Along written with proof that meeting took place, invite Winsted Town Board to the meeting. Reduction in usage of pools on site, pool installation to be a minimum required by XL Energy. All construction equipment and workers' vehicles to be parked on construction site. All lighting to be pointed away from adjacent roadways and property owners. Maintain and identify all existing tile and drainage on site. Share existing roadway access if when possible. And post-construction meeting with Winsted Town Board and McLeod County Planning and Zoning confirm that all conditions of the CUP are met. And then the note at the bottom of that correspondence was we denied the request because there was not documented plans showing the conditions above. So that is the reason why Winsted recommended denial. And then to move on, the Planning Commission, the McLeod County Planning Commission recommended denial at their November 18th, 2020 public hearing. At the meeting, due to the findings of fact, number one, this property is prime farmland. So McLeod County Environmental Services Planning Commission did recommend denial of conditional use permit 20-20.
All right, thank you, Mark. In the effort to stay organized, I'd like to open it up to the board members first. Are there any questions for Mark from the board?
Mr. Chair.
All right, again, member. Yes, Rich.
Okay. I sit on the planning commission. During that meeting, I was flat on my back with COVID disease. I received the minutes from that meeting. It looks to me as though the planning commission did an excellent job of venting both the proposed users and all of the people that were there at that meeting. I think they've done a very good job, so I'll be interested to hear from people today. So, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay. Commissioner Wright?
Mark, I maybe should have given you a heads up to bring the definition, but can you please, prime farmland gets to be very hard to define. Can you recall how McLeod County has defined this per the ordinance in the past?
Yeah, so we use the soil survey, the McLeod County Soil Survey that is published by the Minnesota Department of Extensions. So basically the U of M, who has done this throughout the entire state, and then they, for each soil, they do give us a CPI index and then let us know based on the verbiage in that soil description, whether it is prime farmed, if it's prime farmed, if drained, you know, if it's sandy loamy, if it's, you know, erodible, so forth and so on. So these soils that are on this particular request are all listed as prime farm.
Thank you, Mark. Paul, anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you. I mean, when we talk about prime farmland, it's hard to tell. Are we talking about a smaller equipment or larger equipment, making that definition? But going by a soil type, what is available does definitely have something to do with how productive it can be in terms of growing our basic agricultural crops. So thank you, Mark.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Bird.
I would just also, I'd like to thank Mark and the committee to point that out and that the prime farmland issue, and we've been pretty consistent and like to stay that way with how we take, if and how we take prime farmland out of production. Thanks.
Commissioner Szymanski, anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm in agreement that prime farmland is a commodity that we should treasure here in McLeod County. And I'm thinking of it from the economic aspect that the solar garden produces energy and revenue for someone, but not necessarily an economic windfall for McLeod County. When you consider that's in relation to the annual crop production that those same acres produce, I think the economic impact for our local economy is much better if we retain our prime farmland as farmland and use more marginal acreage for the solar farms in the future.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Roger. Yes.
Mark, do you know what the crop production index is for this parcel? It's not listed in our outline.
Give me 1 minute, please. I do not have the CPIs listed. I do have the type of soil that are listed in the staff report. So it is in the packet. 109, Cordova clay loam, prime farmland if drained. 2, 1901B, Lester LeSueur complex, 1 to 6% slope. All areas are prime farmland. And 3, 945B, Lester Storton complex, 2 to 6% slope. All areas are prime farmland.
Thank you.
All right. Again, if members of the audience would like to speak, please just go up to the podium. Sheila will help you. Just a second, Sheila. And also, if you're online and would like to address the board, just put something in the chat. Hannah, Liz, or somebody from the staff will get my attention and we'll hear your comments. Okay. Forgive me, Sheila. Did you have something to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have a member from the public who would like to comment. They also have a petition, which I would assume is from several members that are also attending, or maybe some who are not. I will assist them in making comments shortly after we sanitize the podium. Thank you. I will also pull that up on the screen. Please give me one moment.
Good. That is just fine. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I do believe that is your phone making the feedback. I'm not quite sure why. Thank you. And I am observing the chat, and as of right now, we do not have any comments or questions.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may add one more thing in regards to that petition, I do also have a copy of that petition that was sent to our office. It was dated December 2nd. There are a list of names on that petition. I believe there are 31. And just for comment, it says, those of us that live in and around Section 16 disapprove of yet another solar garden in our neighborhood. We would all like it to remain agricultural land, so please vote no. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's feeding back for everybody, so sorry about that. If you wish to address the board, please go to the podium.
Hi, I'm Vicki Foshing. I live in Section 16 of Winston Township, and we own land right next to where they want to put the solar garden. And if this passes, we're sandwiched between two solar gardens. We're with the Carl's one and Tom Horseman. So we're really worried about the value of our land and what it's going to do to our land. And I have the petition from all the people that live in Section 16 and around Section 16. A few of the people I couldn't contact because they no longer have landlines. Some are elderly. But anyway, I got 36 names that are totally opposed to this solar garden and would love to see that land remain agricultural.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments from the audience? Or Hannah, are you seeing anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
Thank you, Hannah. All right. We're just giving it a few minutes here to see if there's anybody else who'd like to comment.
We do have one more, Mr. Chair. He is on his way.
Okay, my name is Marty Sherman. My brother passed away a couple months ago, and he has the property to the south of this proposal. And I guess what I don't understand is they talk about the farmland. That's been farmed for, I've been there all my life, 70, and that's been farmed all the while. I mean, sure, you get a real wet year, there might be a spot here and there, but a lot of that I think was tiled and stuff that I know of. And he's got my brother, well, he passed away now, but right across the road from him, he's got solar farm, and then Carl's is a little farther to the west from there. I don't know. As far as I know, there will be no more new farmland growing any place, and we keep taking this away. Pretty soon, McLeod County won't be a farm county anymore, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, commissioners?
No. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, I guess we'll have to make some decisions, understanding that the township and the planning commissioner recommended we deny this permit. Again, anybody online wishing to address the board, please let us know.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may ask a question of our county attorney, action or inaction on this proposal, what are the options for the county board? Is it to affirm the planning and zoning determination, to override planning and zoning determination, or could it just be take no action and let it go away?
Well, you have to take action on it. If you don't take action within the 60-day limit, then it's as well as granting it. So not acting is granting. Number two, you are not approving what the Planning Commission does. The Planning Commission is making a recommendation to the county board. It is your action and your responsibility to make the decision.
All right, thank you, Mr. Young.
Mr. Chair, we do have a comment from Dan Rogers on Zoom.
All right, thank you, Dan. Go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the time this morning, and let me just comment and thank you on the well-run meeting so far. The one thing a couple of points I wanted to make were, you know, as some of the neighbors have pointed out, there are very similar structures right nearby this property. In fact, just to the west, about 1,500 feet away, there is a community solar garden built larger than this one that is on prime farmland as well. And I would also note that your ordinance does not specifically define prime farmland. So that definition, that lack of definition was also difficult. With those reasons, we believe we're actually consistent with your ordinance rules and just general fairness that this should be approved. So I appreciate the time to speak. Thank you very much.
Mark, anything else you'd like to add?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, anything else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Doug.
You know how I like cricket, so I would move to deny the permit. 2020.
And I will second it. And I will second it. Commissioner, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Typically in the past, I think I've been in favor of voted for all of these. However, today is a little bit different with the message from our planning commission. I think this is, you know, we're seeing a lot more of these, and it gets to be an issue of where do these private property rights come in. In this case, Mr. Horstman wishes to put one on his property. We have another one right after this. And then just to go a little bit further, at what point does this not in my backyard scenario come into play? But typically in the past, I've been very interested in making sure that we have the solar gardens bordered properly, that there's some kind of screening in place, that there's stray voltage testing, and we take a look at what kind of potential drainage or tile lines are impacted. But this is because of the amount of time we're spending on this, it's starting to remind me of back in the 90s when this was issues that came up through feedlots continuously. And then eventually we had to go into a long grueling session of an ordinance, which now puts red tape on top of that process as well. The continuous conditional use permit process is very effective. And allows kind of a one-by-one case, but there's just starting to be a lot of these. And I know that Mark is waiting for an opportunity to have a workshop with the board so we can learn more of the details of the impact of the solar garden opportunities that are out there, and perhaps some of the facts that happen with that. But today, I think I'm in favor of the motion to denial as well, kind of breaking from where I've been in the past, going again with what our Environmental Services Committee has found to bring forward to us today.
Thank you, Paul. Commissioners, any other comments? All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Go ahead. Yes.
Could you include in the resolution of denial that the reason for the denial is that it involves prime ag land, which is what I've heard, that is what your reason is.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, I would add that. I would add that to our motion, my motion.
Yeah, and I agree with that. All right, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Mulmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0 for denial. Mark, item C.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do have one more item C, which is consider approval of conditional use permit 20-21 by Daniel Rogers, representing Nokomis Energy, Minneapolis, Minnesota, for the essential service of a 1 megawatt solar garden to be known as Crane Garden LLC, interconnected to an Xcel Energy substation for the purpose of electrical generation through solar panels. The applicant has negotiated a 9-acre purchase option for the project on property owned by Cecil Martin. The existing land use is agricultural with physical characteristics of gently rolling tillable acreage with soils described as prime farmland per the McLeod County Soil Survey. The project location is located within the southwest quarter of Section 25 in Winsted Township. The Winsted Town Board recommended denial at their November 12th, 2020 meeting due to the standards not being disclosed at the time of their applicant as read in the prior application. The Planning Commission recommended denial at their November 18th, 2020 public hearing due to the following findings of fact. Number 1, prime farmland. Number 2, public input disclosing issues which do not fit the nature of the property as follows. A, stray voltage. B, livestock health problems due to stray voltage. C, CPI crop productivity index ratings from 81 to 100. Prove valuable fertile acres. And D, McLeod County is Ag Preservation County per the McLeod County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And the McLeod County Environmental Services Planning Commission is recommending denial of conditional use permit 20-21.
All right, commissioners, any questions for Mark?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I should add one more thing. We do have a couple letters in the file that were presented at the Planning Commission from neighbors, Greg and Heidi Otto, Matt Lynch, and Lisa Byrol, who did have statements in regards to their disagreement with this particular request as well.
Thank you for that. Yeah, commissioners, any questions for Mark? If not, any members of the audience or anyone online wish to address the board?
There are no comments online. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one. Dan would like to address the board again.
Dan, why don't you go ahead and do that? And sir, I saw you raise your hand. You can head up to the podium and Sheila will get you set up where you can speak after Mr. Rogers. Dan, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Just again, wanted to reiterate my thanks for letting me speak this morning. Just wanted to also note that very similar to the last project, About 2,500 feet to the south is again another solar garden that was approved under the same ordinance we're applying under. That is on prime farmland as well, similar to the last application. So again, we do not believe we're in conflict with the ordinance or previous approval that the county has given. I'd also note that the stray voltage considerations noted here would be absolutely be something we'd be willing to accept as a condition of the permit. So appreciate the time. Thank you very much again.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right, sir, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I'm Greg Otto. I live just west of where this proposed site is. I guess I got several concerns. A big one is the stray voltage. We got cattle on each side of north and south of this proposed site. If this one goes through, we're pretty much surrounded by solar gardens. We have seen some health issues with cattle already because of the one south of 7. That's a big concern of mine. I'm concerned about the prime farmland and our property value. We have setbacks for where we can haul manure. What we can do as far as with feedlots and stuff. I guess I'm kind of questioning why there's not setbacks for some of these solar gardens. They're basically are in our backyard, right up next to our feedlots. And anybody with cattle knows stray voltage is a big problem. The other thing, just as a side note, Daniel at the last planning and zoning meeting gave me some numbers on to call on what it costs to clean these up. I called them and nobody will give me a number what it costs to clean up. 95 cents per pound is what they told me just for the product, like the solar panels, but nobody would give you a cost of what returning the land back to its normal state would be. And he also told me if somebody would give me a number that we should times it 2 to 3 times of what they tell you for inflation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah, do I understand correctly? There's somebody in the chat that would like to address the board?
We have Lisa would like to share.
Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lisa Viral. I'm just north of the proposed location of this solar garden. We have a very small farm. We sell local beef, very, very, very small. I also have 2 kids that kind of have a neat little goat business as well. And I don't know what type of studies have been done on the solar gardens, people who run solar gardens and whatnot, but stray voltage is a huge issue in any hooved animals. We already have in a couple unexplained cattle abortions. With that, it is very known that these are leaking or leaching stray voltage, and they can go quite far. And to see, ourselves have a small livestock farm, just to see kids wanting to start out is kind of discouraging when solar farms are huge, going all around us. So it's kind of a concern that these just keep popping up all over. And when does it stop? When is this going to slow down a little bit? Because it's popping up everywhere. Another issue too, when these go up in summer, the constant bang, 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 bang drilling into the ground is actually kind of scary to these cattle as well. It's, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. I know when it's all said and done, it's done, but it's all summer long, this bang, bang, banging of those drills knocking down the steel into the ground or whatever it is. So it's our concern. We've got kids involved trying to do 4-H projects and you know, it's just never ending. So I'd like to see it not be in our backyard. That's all for today, I guess.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Looks like there's someone at the podium.
I'm Greg Otto again. I forgot one thing, just to mention. It seems like Wright County has kind of put a stop to most of these, and also Carver County has put up some pretty high setbacks. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. All right, commissioners.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
For sure, right.
I just want to thank Lisa Byrell and Greg Otto for bringing up the stray voltage concerns. As a livestock producer myself, and consider myself very well versed on the stray voltage issue. Worked with some of the inspectors and task force on that to some degree. And we need to recognize that cattle are extremely sensitive to any kind of voltage deviation on a farm place. And we're focusing on the solar garden issue today, but we need to, just to get it out there, a bad ballast in a fluorescent light, a bad capacitor in an electric motor, a loose connection within an electrical panel can cause this anywhere. And we talk a lot about it in cattle because, again, like I said before, cattle can pick it up at a very, very small rate that we as human beings would not recognize. And so I do appreciate that they're bringing that up as a concern today. And it is a very big issue for livestock producers to be concerned about this. It's very possible that stray voltage can come through the wires underground from one farm place to the other, and you wouldn't know it until you actually get the right people on your farm place in order to detect where that comes from. We actually do kind of a survey or a scan of our farm place a few times a year, just to make sure that we're safe. Anywhere from rate of gain, cattle abortions, general health concerns are definitely a reality for those of us in the livestock sector. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners wish to say anything before I decide if we potentially have a motion?
Mr. Chair, we have
Ron,
one more guest at the meeting that would like to speak.
No, thank you.
My name is Dave Shane. I just own an acre right in front of the solar panel, and I'm concerned about what is my property going to go down, you know, with the solar panel going all around me, you know. So that's being my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll just kind of go through the list. Commissioner Pohlmeyer, any comments from the Planning Commission side, or does it pretty much echo the last thing?
I think we've echoed just about everything, and I read through the minutes from the Planning Commission meeting, and I think all the concerns from both sides were heard here. So I'm okay.
Commissioner Schmansky, as you represent that district, anything you'd like to add at this point?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, you know, as long as I've been on the board, the solar gardens have been an issue. And I served my term on the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. And so I've been through these discussions numerous times. And I do want to thank the residents of Winsted Township for stepping forward, and the Winsted Town Board for reaffirming their concerns about proper siting of solar farms in our area. And this, like I said, has been an issue for several years. And you know, I've asked our Planning and Zoning Department, and I congratulate them for stepping up to give us better definitions of when and where a solar garden is appropriate. And I do believe that this proposal on prime farmland does not meet with the conditions that we have laid out. And so I would propose that I'll make the motion that we deny the conditional use permit for this solar garden, permit number 2021.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski to deny the permit. Is there a second?
Second, Kruger.
I'll take Commissioner Polmeyer as a second. Any discussion under the motion?
And again, that is because it is prime ag land. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that finding should be included in the motion.
Ron, I presume that's fine with you and Commissioner Polmeyer?
Absolutely correct.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
There was a second finding in regards to that denial from the Planning Commission for your review. If you do want to accept that or not, they would offer that to Mr. Young, and he could also review that. But there was public input, and they were specific in their letters to concerns that they had, which were included as part of the request for denial, findings for denial from that last station.
Mark, what is the reason?
Very good.
And I'll read it again for the record, if I may.
Yes, please.
I have it right here, otherwise, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Polmeyer. I do have it here. So the item number 2 for the findings, number 1 was prime farmland. Number 2 was public input disclosing issues which do not fit the nature of this property as follows. A, stray voltage. B, livestock health problems due to stray voltage. C, CPI crop productivity index ratings from 81 to 100 prove valuable fertile acres. And D, McLeod County is an ag preservation county per the comprehensive land use plan.
Mr. Chair, I would include those provisions in my motion.
And I approve of that.
Mr. Chair, this is Sheila. In the chat section, Dan Rogers has asked to provide this comment to you, commissioners. Is that the only finding for denial?
I think that was just addressed by Commissioner Szymanski.
Thank you.
As he listed the others. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Any other discussion on the motion? Yes, Doug.
I just want to thank our departments, and I do thank the public input. I just in fairness to everything, I want to say that the not in my backyard, I know it would be on my list if I was there, but I didn't make my decision, or I'm not making my decision on that. I appreciate some of the input. We always think about the bigger operators, and the smaller operators that commented today. You can call them hobby farms if you want, but their 4-H'ers or different things. Their herds are just as important as anyone else's, and I really did appreciate those comments. Thanks.
I would agree. All right. Any further discussion on the motion for the denial? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Mark, anything else?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right, we've been at it for a couple hours, and I want to respect everybody's time, but we're going to take 10 minutes to hopefully fix some of this feedback issue that I'm having, and we'll get started again at 11:15.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Sheila?
Will we go back to item number 7 upon resuming?
Yes, that's a great point. We'll go back to I believe it was Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Project CP 20-054-02 That was an aggregate base and bituminous paving project on County Road 54 or Tagus Avenue between County Road 87 and County Road 7. That job's been completed satisfactorily and final acceptance is recommended.
Very good. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, Paul Wright, I make a motion to approve.
Very good. Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
I'll second. Paul Meyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Here now, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Aye.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. And forgive me for this, Mark. Can you turn that speaker down a little bit up front so we don't get quite the feedback? Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, John. Merry Christmas. County Attorney's Office, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At our closed meeting on December 1st, I went over with you the 5 owners, what the awards were, what the request of the landowners was, what our request was. Since that, and prior to that meeting, the Vorlicek, McLeod, Goodwill Hunting, that's 5 parcels owned by Mr. Vorlicek and Miss McLeod. Those 5 had appealed prior to December 1st. Since that time, the Schultz parcels have appealed also, or Mr. Schultz has appealed on his parcels. So the only 3 parcels that are still left are the Blazinski, Selchow, and Pashusta. And if the board is wanting to appeal the decision of the condemnation commissioners, you would have to do so by December 20th. My recommendation is that you not appeal.
And is there specific action needs to be taken, or how would you like that formed?
If you want to take action of agreeing not to appeal, that is fine. If you just move on to the next item, then you haven't appealed and the time is going to lapse. But since you're my client, I need to have at least informed you of what your option is in this matter. So that's where we're at.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes, Doug.
Could you just clarify that again? If we approve, or if we go along with not to appeal, that's the ones that have not settled. How does that affect? I mean, I don't quite understand the moving parts here. How does that affect us and them?
The appeal period expires on the 20th of December, which I believe is a Sunday. So it actually expires on the 21st, which is 40 days from the date of the awards. If you do not appeal prior to that time, and if the landowner does not appeal prior to that time, then the condemnation commissioner's award is what gets paid out. If an appeal is taken by either party, then a jury trial would be held to determine what the value of the damages of our taking is.
So if the motion today to approve is just the findings of that hearing, is that correct then? Is that basically? No?
No, your motion is either to do nothing and you don't have to make a motion then, or you would make a motion if you're following my recommendation not to appeal the Blazinski, Selchow, and Pashusta condemnation commissioner awards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Szymanski, I cut you off. Did you have something? You're muted, Ron.
Thought I was live there, but I would make the motion that we agree not to or not appeal the findings of the condemnation hearing on the Blazinski, Selchow, and Pashusta parcels on County State Aid Highway 15.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Kruger.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing now, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Fulmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nails, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Mike, anything else?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you for all your help today. Information technology. Matt, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Here to request consider approval of agreement with Now Micro of St. Paul, Minnesota for support services for System Center Configuration Manager for a prepaid total of $19,240 with funds from the information technology budget. The prepaid total cost breakdown include $1,480 for December 2020 and $2,960 each for the months of January 2021 through June of 2021. That's actually 8 hours of time for December and 16 hours each for January through June. The System Center Configuration Manager, or SCCM, is used to manage computers in our environment, image them, install software updates, and remote support. We no longer have the expertise in-house to fully support this system and wish to keep it current, as it provides many time-saving benefits for IT. This agreement will allow us to keep the system current and provide necessary training to all staff to continue to support it.
Very good. Any questions for Matt?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Matt, this service under this contract, will they be able to do that on site, or will they be providing services remotely to McLeod County?
They'll be providing services remotely.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Matt? Otherwise, I would believe I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve this contract with Now Micro.
Thank you, Rich. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Second by Ron. Any discussion? Here now, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Fulmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Anything else, Matt?
Nope, that'll be all. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. I believe, unless I've made a mistake, and please correct me if I have, we're on to employee relations.
I believe that's correct.
All right, let's go ahead, Hannah.
All right, good morning. I have a few items today. Item A, consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation for a 5% wage increase for the current maintenance 2 and 3 workers. McLeod County Highway Department has been short 3 maintenance workers since January 2020. Recruiting qualified candidates has been difficult. Employee retention issues continue. These positions directly impact the conditions of our roads and the public. With approval from the Personnel Committee, Employee Relations is requesting an adjustment of a 5% wage increase in an effort to retain and recognize the current maintenance 2 and 3 workers. This increase ranges from $1.05 to $1.56 an hour per employee.
I'll comment as a member of the Personnel Committee. We looked at this long and hard, and we have been probably, I don't know, a long time. And probably to the dismay of John and his staff that it's taken us long to get here. This is what we came up with. It's, I don't know if the verbiage is right, Hannah, but it's within the market that we're competing with, or helps us be a part of that. Would that be a fair statement?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So this is what we came up with and where we went with it. I know these mid-contract adjustments are unprecedented, but that's how we hope to fill these positions and retain them in the future, along with some other things internally that they're working on that I've brought up in the past. So I'll hold off on the motion in case there's any other comments, but I do believe this is a good move forward for us.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Am I correct in recognizing that this is for current employees of McLeod County, not for new hires going into the future?
Hannah, you want to address that?
Yep, that is correct, Commissioner Szymanski. It was deemed necessary as we're considering this a critical situation with having currently 3 and actually a recent retirement that we recognized this morning. So actually 4 openings that we've been having a challenging time adjusting or filling, excuse me. So these are for our current McLeod County maintenance workers.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You know, these employees are, I believe, grade 150 and 160. Is that right, Hannah?
That is correct.
All right. But this isn't going to change our wage scale, you know, for any other employees at grade 150 or 160 in the county. Is that correct?
That's correct. They will continue to be within their grade. This will not shift or expand the range.
Okay. All right. The thought I'm having is that do we classify highway maintenance workers with a you know, like recognizing that they're working in the elements rather than in an office position, kind of a range of duty type of an adjustment here, or are you just confident we can just make this adjustment without any further qualification?
Mr.
Chair.
Mr. Szymanski, Commissioner Szymanski, the working conditions was taken into account during the rating system. You are doing this as a market factor only. And Hannah, is it correct that all employees will still be within the range if they receive this proposed increase?
There will be 1 or potentially 2 employees that will reach the maximum, but they will stay within the terms of their labor agreement.
So it's true that they would get up to this proposal so long as they don't go outside of the range of their position. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, here. Sheila, you have something to add?
I just want to make sure that we clarify with Commissioner Szymanski that we are not reclassifying these positions. As you noted, this is an adjustment, as the county attorney and Hannah noted as well. And we do not move people outside of the range, even when there is a wage adjustment. That's a blanket adjustment like this, which are very uncommon. We do not do them often, as we all know. And as Mr. Chair and Hannah noted, this has been a strenuous process. I am on the personnel committee with them as well. But we also find it is very necessary for these 2 specific roles in that department. These can cause domino effect issues, as we know. We don't anticipate that, as we find that the other positions that could be affected in the same range are already in an appropriate place and have been reviewed. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Chair, just want to say thank you for the clarification on behalf of everyone that responded to my question.
Very good.
Good night, Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes, Doug.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. That was one of my questions, but I do have another one, or just clarification. Now, this 5% is over any other raise for the year. I mean, the COLA raise and everything. So is that correct?
Hannah?
That is correct. That is correct. And we, again, just to mention, as Sheila said, we do know, I mean, I just appreciate that the personnel committee was willing to engage in this challenge. I feel like this is a big, we recognize the request we're making, and it is an addition.
One last comment from me is I know I'm going to get some calls on this, but that's fine. I would, we have to do something. I mean, it's come to a critical stage where if this doesn't work, I mean, we have to keep looking to fill our staff. So I appreciate that.
And I want to
share one more. I apologize.
No, and hopefully I cover this too. But want to reiterate that, this is part of what we're looking at. We're also looking at different opportunities for, and we've already done that a little bit with adding a maintenance one worker where we will help train them and move them up and quote unquote promote within, hopefully, and build some, I don't know, a feeder program, or I don't know how to say it, but we'll continue to work with that as we go there. And we've talked about with the management staff out at the highway department how we may have to change our practices regarding training and things like that to get really, really good employees that maybe don't have all the experience that we need, but we can give it to them. So this is just a piece of it, and it was incredibly a difficult process, and we're not done. We're not. Sheila, go ahead. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to keep commenting. Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that, I'll move to approve this. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeier. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I guess I would just add in addition to your comment, this is probably step one in trying to reassure and revitalize our maintenance staff for Public Works. So there may be other changes coming, but this is a good start in trying to fill all these positions that we haven't been able to fill for the last year.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just don't, I appreciate all your comments and your hard work, but I just want to make sure this is not a problem just with McLeod County. I don't want to act like we have an internal problem. This is the state of Minnesota, Trailblazer, you name it. We're all having trouble with this. It's just, we're all trying to solve that problem. I just want to clear anything up. It's not unique to McLeod County. Thanks.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeier?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, item B.
I just want to take a moment again to say thank you. I think that's a really big win for the department, and I appreciate the support. Item B, consider approval of adjustment of a current part-time fairgrounds worker hours to a maximum of 1,456 hours in a calendar year. This adjustment is a decrease in hours for the current employee and will save costs for McLeod County. Due to the nature of this work, there is a heavier workload in the summer and lighter in the winter. This adjustment, which is an average of 28 hours per week, will allow for the appropriate hours to be worked throughout the year. Hours will continue to be monitored and approved by their supervisor.
Any questions about this?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Wright, move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
I'll second. Pohlmeier.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeier. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Or excuse me.
Aye.
All right, let's back up. I'm sorry. Commissioner Kruger, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeier?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Item C.
All right, item C, consider approval of updates to the McLeod County personnel policy. This revised policy was brought to the board workshop on October 20th, 2020. The policy has been updated to reflect compliance with the recent exit of Minnesota Merit, and the following areas have been edited or added. The background policy, nepotism and conflict of interest, appearance policy, overtime, personnel board of appeals, drug and alcohol-free workplace, holidays, vacation, voting leave, employee recognition and wellness, volunteers, and interns. I do want to add that I know prior to this meeting, there were a couple of additions and edits from our county attorney, Mr. Young, and I believe there may be some other comments as well. So I will be taking those comments today, and we probably will need to bring this to the next meeting, but we'll see what extra comments there are.
So are there So I'm gathering there's someone or somebody wants to talk about some of these issues. Is that correct?
And maybe I maybe jumped the gun there, so I apologize. I just had talked with Attorney Young before. He had added 2 items that if the board is comfortable with me editing after, then maybe could go through for approval. One of the edits is on page 27, which is regarding the nepotism and conflict of interest. Attorney Young has suggested in the last paragraph, which I can share my screen if you'd like me to. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that would be great. And then we wanted to search for it.
The last paragraph, the first sentence is already in the policy, which is no person serving as an active member of the county board shall be eligible for employment with the county. These next 2 sentences are the addition. If a county employee runs for commissioner and wins, they may take a leave, or they must take a leave of absence under Minnesota State Section 3.088 number 2. The person would be free to resign or be on a leave of absence pursuant to the statute. So that is the addition from Commissioner Young, Attorney Young.
Makes sense to me.
The second item is on, excuse me for a second. Is on page 95, and this is regarding our here we go, regarding funeral leave. And the reason for this adjustment is Sheila, as well as the commissioners, have been working very hard in finding consistencies within our labor agreements where we can with our personnel policy. In the majority of our labor agreements, it has funeral leave up to a maximum of 4 days. However, the copy I sent you as a board was funeral leave up to a maximum of 3 days. This was pointed out by Attorney Young, and the goal is to, again, find consistency within our policies and make sure that our non-union employees are receiving the same kind of benefits as our non-union. I'm sorry, as our union employees.
Mr. Chair.
Those are the 2 edits.
I missed who that was. Was that you, Doug?
Yes, just clarification, and I've dealt with this in the private sector. These maximum 4 days, are they working days? I mean, and this is always, I know it's a hard question for everyone usually is, you know, sometimes if it's on the weekend, you only get 2 actual working days. So I just like a clarification on that.
Mr. Chair, can I comment, please, just because I've discussed this with the board prior. Hannah, is that okay?
Yes, please.
We do handle these on a case-by-case basis because, like you said, sometimes they'll fall on the weekend. For instance, I went out of state for a funeral. It fell over a weekend. And at the time, my supervisor was Cindy Ford, and I did not use that entire time needed. It all depends on many factors. How far away is the person going? Is it their parent? Are they the person responsible for handling the arrangements? The up to is utilized very well throughout the county. We do not see an issue with abuse of the system by any of our employees. And we believe that it's necessary. We also the reason I asked the comments is because we have already settled our 8 union contracts with this included. So there's no reason not to have this included in our personnel policy from my perspective. And it is not more generous than any other private employers that I know of. In fact, some are more generous than ours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I see this now, Hannah, and Mike can tell me if I'm wrong, but as I see this now that you updated us on those corrections or additions, and with the list that you've given us, if we deem it necessary or feel comfortable with it, we can approve all that right now. Mike, is that fair?
Correct.
All right, thank you. So with that, are there any further questions for Hannah regarding these policy updates? Hearing none, I'll move to approve. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second. Holmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmanke?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Hannah, anything else?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your work today. All right, Sheriff's Office. Mr. Langenfeld, are you here? Have we heard from Tim, anyone?
Yes, he was online before, so I'm guessing, Tim, if you're on, you are on mute. There he is. He's getting connected to audio. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. To approve my selection for Chief Deputy, who is Sergeant Aaron.
Hey, Tim, you're not to interrupt you.
Then quickly went to patrol and eventually promoted to sergeant in 2000.
Sheriff Langenfeld, we cannot hear you.
Chief Deputy, we worked very closely together, and I have all the confidence in Aaron that he would be great at being the next Chief Deputy and
Sheriff Langenfeld?
the responsibilities and duties very well.
Just let him finish.
Okay.
Tim, you're going to have to start over and maybe adjust your audio because we can't hear you about every fifth word. So,
did I lose you again?
Yeah, that's better. Whatever you're doing right now is great.
Yeah, I got to put these things away. Okay. All right. Did you hear any of that?
Let's start over.
Okay. So I'm here today to ask the board to approve the appointment of Sergeant Aaron Ward as my Chief Deputy. Aaron started with the county in 1998, working in the jail, quickly went to patrol, and then was promoted to patrol sergeant in 2004. Since coming back to Chief Deputy position in 2007, we've worked very close together, and I have all the faith and confidence in Aaron to carry out the duties and responsibilities of Chief Deputy very well. There have been a few concerns that have come forward since Aaron's wife, Beth, also works for the Sheriff's Office. I've spoken with all of the commissioners, worked very close with Hannah in HR. I believe we've got processes in place to alleviate any issues if they were to arise. I've also spoken with our office manager, who would report to Aaron and also supervise Beth. At this time, she does not have any concerns and doesn't see any issues for this not to move forward. And I will leave it at that unless, Hannah, if you had something else you wanted to say.
I appreciate working with you on this, Sheriff, and I think we have the proper process in place. So unless there are specific questions, no.
Mike, anything you want to add?
What your current conflict of interest policy does is prohibit a person from being supervised by a family member. What the remedy is that the county has an obligation to provide the person with substantially equal employment in a different department. And I have pointed out that my opinion that this is a direct conflict of interest, since the chief deputy would in effect be in the shoes of the sheriff when the sheriff is not available. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
Here you go again. I don't like crickets. I've discussed this with the sheriff, and in today's market of good workers, productive workers, I personally don't see a problem in it. And I like I told Sheriff Langenfeld, he's responsible for his department, so any fallout to that would lay on his shoulders. So I would move to accept the appointment.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
I will second it, Commissioner Polmeyer.
Second by Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to note and follow up to what Commissioner Kruger said. We live in a smaller county, and we work with a very tight labor market. We have several employees who are relatives working throughout our county successfully together, different departments, in many different capacities. And I have worked with Sheriff Langenfeld throughout the process of it, and with County Attorney Mike Young. I can see both perspectives, and it has been difficult for us with staffing to recruit qualified individuals, but also people who we are going to be able to retain once they come here. We have a lot of people who we get onto our team and then they leave. And one advantage of hiring people who are closely related is that they do usually stay with employment longer. And we have not had issues. And we also now have a separate employee relations and human resources department, which in the past we only had one person supporting that and not a lot of direct support to each department. We do have that now. And so I also have, I have faith that our departments will be able to handle the management of those employees. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Tim, are you still there? Ron, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess this question would be for Hannah and Sheila, but do you anticipate that county administration will utilize or perform a little bit more oversight in the sheriff's department due to this situation? I guess I just want a little comfort in knowing that our county attorney is giving us a warning here, and how do we manage that should some minor issues arise that need to be resolved beyond the sheriff's department?
Thank you, Commissioner Szymanski. Sheriff Langenfeld works closely with administration and human relations or human resources, on a daily basis. He makes us aware of any employee issues or matters, handles them appropriately. Honestly, as a department head and an elected official, and his past as being the chief deputy, he always brings items for further clarification and has been a complete team player by the history of things. So with him being in that leadership position, it gives me really no worry that he would be sure that if anything arose, that he would discuss it appropriately. And I also believe that he's instilled this throughout his department. So with his office manager, that she would be able to go to Hannah, and they work closely together on a daily basis. And they also have a human resources coordinator, Nikki Pregler, who works closely with their department on all recruitment, retention, staffing issues, terminations. So she is aware of any changes in that department as well, if that's helpful to you.
Tim, are you there? No?
Yep, I am.
So we know the concerns, and none of them in my mind are promoting Sergeant Ward to this. I've known him for all the years I've been around. I guess I'll just ask you, do you have any concerns?
No, I don't. I think the steps that we took with HR in regards to ensuring any reviews or disciplinary issues, not that we expect any, but if anything were to come up, would bypass the chief deputy in this situation, go directly to me. In my absence, if there's any issues like that, they would go to HR and we would work together regarding that. One thing I would note is Beth is a union member, so if there's any issues the opposite way, that she'd also have protection of the union if she felt something was being done that was unfair to her or her position.
Okay. It's nothing against either one of them. It's just these tough questions, and I hope they understand that. And I'm sure that you've already prepped them for that, Tim. All right. Yeah. All right. All right. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mike.
Just so the board is aware, this is an appointment by the sheriff with the approval of the county board, according to statute. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hearing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Congratulations, Aaron. Thank you, Tim. Anything else?
Not for me. You will get to know Aaron pretty well in the future, and I'm sure he'll work very well with you. So thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. All right. Again, congratulations, Aaron. All right. Briefly, if we can, everyone, let's go over our calendars. We're pushing noon, and we've got a workshop and social services yet, and several other items, but I don't want to dismiss the calendars. So, Commissioner Kruger, I'll let you go first.
All right, I'll try to stay as brief as I can. I'll just go through the meetings. We went through a review of our elected officers after or before our last meeting. I had a Lower Minnesota River One Watershed One Plan meeting on the 3rd, a Transportation Alliance meeting on the 12th, talking about Highway 212, the first phase, or what I call the first phase, from Mills Fleet Farm to at Carver to Cologne is funded, and we'll start. Now we're moving into phase 2, and for a conversation another day, I have some thoughts on how to proceed with the coalition. I had an HRA meeting on the 12th. You heard from our director today, so I won't go into that. I had an MRC board meeting on the 6th, Minnesota Rural Counties. We had a good meeting on different problems, again, differing from the metropolitan area into the rural counties. I attended the IGA workshop, or ISG, I'm sorry, a workshop on the 7th, and there was some drainage issues, or half the seminar was on drainage, and the other half was on our government center, and they did a fairly good job of laying our facility out. It was a discussion on building new or remodeling. I had several ditch hearings, which we participated in today, the finish of them. An ATP meeting on the 11th, which is District 8 Transportation. We reviewed, I understand, we lost some money on 212, but again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We are funded, we got some funding for our roundabouts here in Glencoe and Broughton, and some help there on Morningside. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. And then we've had a couple of budget committee meetings that, again, we can go into more depth a little later. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Szymanski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last county board meeting on December 3rd, we had the Prime West Health Joint Powers Board meeting by Zoom. On the 7th of December, we had the ISG workshop that Doug referenced, and the AMC annual meeting in which I participated. That was also done by Zoom. On the 8th of December, we had the ditch meeting for DD 15A, 29, 13, and 5, which we wrapped up with our hearing today. And then on the 10th, we had the Speaker McLeod Sibley Community Health Board Joint Powers Board meeting by Zoom. I would like to note there that 4 of the 6 commissioners, 2 from each county that serve on that board, are retiring at the end of the year. So that Speaker McLeod Sibley Community Health Board will be indoctrinating or training 4 new commissioners to serve on that committee. And then on the 11th, Central Minnesota Jobs and Training had their quarterly Joint Powers Board meeting, where we heard the audit report from our auditors, Clifton, Larson, Allen. We got a very clean audit on the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. And that is my meetings since our last board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wright.
Yep. We'll keep it brief. I'll just mainly reference the times that we met with Budget Committee on setting up as far as today's Economic Development Committee and discussions with that, as well as our recommendations for the upcoming levy approval and salary adjustments. So that's good enough for me.
All right, Commissioner Pallmeyer.
Yeah, I guess I hit pretty much everything that everyone else did. The AMC meeting, the rural counties meeting, the ditches, the community health board. The one that I'll add in is I also attended by Zoom the Southwest Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium. Once again, that meeting was just, we had a good meeting with a couple of the legislatures and keeping funding available for counties and for mental health problems that are still in the wings, waiting to happen. So all of those were by Zoom. I've been staying pretty close to home since I came down with the COVID a month ago. So thank you.
All right, mine are the TNT meeting, which was afterwards, and thank you to the staff that puts in a ton of time and effort for not only the presentation, but setting up the facilities that we've had to move and go to several different ones throughout the year. Some NACO calls regarding public safety, department head, and meeting with administration. But if I can, real quick, I just want to bring this up. It's rather important to me and to our community, I believe. But 31 years ago today, Hutchinson Police Officer Mike Hogan was killed in the line of duty. I probably should and could give a long speech recognizing his ultimate sacrifice. But today I would just like to briefly say to the Hogan family and on behalf of the McLeod County Board that you are in our thoughts and prayers. A selfless plug a little bit. I'm very proud of this piece of our community. The Hutchinson Law Enforcement Park along 3rd Avenue near the river has a memorial to Officer Hogan and some other officers. Usually this time of year, it's under about 3 feet of snow. And this year's been a little more mild. So if you get a chance to check that out, today would be a really good day to do that. It's quite moving in my opinion. And it's something that I think everybody that lives in Hutchinson or McLeod County should see. So again, thank you, Officer Hogan. With that, we will move on to some more business. Sheila, I'm not sure who's presenting some of these items, so you'll have to help me. So item A.
Thank you. One moment, please.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to get the screens ready, so you're all looking at the same item, and I did it a little too soon, so we'll stay on item A. And this is going to be presented by Colleen Rollbeck, our finance director, and she is online. Colleen, can we hear you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
You're welcome.
Yes.
And then, Colleen, do you want me to pull up the first document for you or the tax levy document, the impact or the levy?
You can do the levy. I'm just going to read the tax impact. But first, okay. I just want to ask for consideration of approval of the 2021 final property tax levy and budget. As you know, the preliminary tax levy of $25,768,171 was approved on September 15th, 2020, and this was a 5% increase over the 2020 property tax levy. And we did increase the levy by 5% at that time so that we wouldn't use fund balance in the general fund. And some of the impacts that affect our budget, our personnel costs for 2021 are budgeted at over $24 million, which is an increase in expenses of over $284,000. McLeod County has settled the 8 union contracts through 2022 with insurance reopeners each year, and the raises were set with 3% increases for 2021 and 2022 for all unions. McLeod County has budgeted over $3 million for health insurance premiums and health savings account contributions for 2021. The McLeod County health insurance premiums have increased by 9% for 2021, and that is split 50-50 between the county and its employees. Another factor is the interest rates have gone down substantially. So we have budgeted a loss of revenue of $315,000 in interest for 2021 compared to 2020. There's an increase in the information systems budget of $142,000 for maintenance agreements and $55,000 for infrastructure, servers, and software. There's an increase at the Fairgrounds Department of $115,000 for capital equipment. This is for roof repairs, grandstand electrical, seal coating parking lots, and additional bathrooms. There's an increase in the Parks Department budget of $38,000 for capital, and this was for lawnmower, pickup truck, playground equipment, and to resurface trails. There's an increase in the environmental services budget of $50,000, and that was for an elevator lift at the solid waste facility, environmental services building. There is, and then one positive impact on this budget is the local option sales tax that you approved last year. There's $3.6 million budgeted for that on county road projects for 2021, but we received that money in January 2020, so that will pay for the projects. And then the debt is repaid off of that local option sales tax that we're getting in, which it looks like we are going to receive about $2.3 million in 2020 for the local option sales tax, and we had budgeted 1.9 million. So we're coming in well above budget. So those are some factors. And then Sheila has up on the screen for me the taxes payable. So as you know, once the preliminary levy is set, you cannot increase it, but you do have the opportunity to decrease it at this time. So we have an increase for 2020 or 2021 of 1.227 million. And that was the increase that we set in September. You can see how that affects the property tax. The property taxes below. So like if you look down the row and see a residential homestead, and if it's valued at, let's say 200,000, that increase for that homeowner is $99 just for the county portion of their tax increase. So if you go across, if you lower that, you'll see how that tax ramifications are for the taxpayers. So if you decide to do a decrease at this time, you can kind of put it into perspective of how it affects the landowners. But I'll leave that up to the board for discussion.
Okay, we'll take, how about the budget committee? Paul or Doug, you want to discuss this at all?
Well, I can chime in, Mr. Chair, just real quick on the information that is up on our screen currently. We also need to note within that calculation is that there's an estimated market value change of 9% that is already figured in that. So as we found out in working with people, especially on that TNT meeting time, that the market value change is a huge player and increase as well. It's not just a levy. So we definitely need to acknowledge the presence of that line within these projections, because that gets to be sometimes nearly a bigger game changer than the levy itself for some classes of property. So budget committees, we've spent a lot of time on this trying to figure out, realizing that this is not a great time for our economy, but yet at the same time, the importance of county government and that we need to maintain a balanced budget here as well. So as been noted, we started out with in excess of a $25 million levy in September. And we all knew that 5% was something that we needed to decrease, and it was how to do it. And we went with our dollars or our savings to our budget with the CARES money. That is going to be kind of our revenue that will help us out here today. We did, as I brought up many times before, we saw that CARES money when it came in as something that we pushed out into the community way more than keeping it inside the county funds for ourselves. But we did utilize $1.2 million of CARES money for our own needs. And so just to try and lay this out, how we came up with it, if we use in terms of how we utilize our fund balance, $600,000 approximately for this year and another $600,000 for next year, which would be that 1.2 total. We can use that to decrease the levy. And that actually brings us down to 2.5% levy increase, utilize the CARES money, and we still balance our budget. And I think that that is very important that we end with a balanced budget, so we're not kicking it into next year. Things, you know, we cannot control the economy. We cannot control the mandates at all. We can't control the negative issues that society creates and taxpayers have to pay millions to try and correct or deal with. And we also know that we have to maintain a respectful salary scale to attract and maintain a good workforce. And I think we're there. But we also, in terms of the levy, need to get rid of this roller coaster that we've been on the last 10 years. We need to get down to some kind of a figure that is more normal. If we look back, we've got anywhere from zeros to nearly a 10% or 9% increase. And at times we started out setting the preliminary levy at up to 15. And we've just been chasing it. And we feel that with a 2.5% today, that we should be able to hopefully, again, there are things we can't control, but hopefully maintain around that 3% neighborhood going forward. And we finally fixed the roller coaster. The CARES money definitely coming in to help and leaving this year with a balance. So Commissioner Kruger, definitely help me if I forgot anything. But last week we left feeling that a 2.5% today would be a good approach.
No, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Kruger, anything to add?
No, thank you, Paul. You laid it out excellent. I mean, you did an excellent job of laying it out. I mean, there was a lot of consideration taken in trying to do there. And for me, I was interested in protecting our reserves. I mean, I know Commissioner Wright alluded to, there's a lot of things we can't control, but right for today, I'm very confident in what we just went through here. I mean, that's the best we can do with what we've got, and we'll have to see what the future brings. So thanks again, Paul. You laid it out very good.
Commissioner Pohlmeier? Anything?
I would defer to the budget committee on this one. They've done the work on it, and I will accept their recommendations.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I commend the Budget Committee for bringing this recommendation for reducing the levy. A couple things that I think are important is the one is the increased revenue anticipated from the local option sales tax, which helps our budget. The other, and I noted as Colleen was making her presentation, that interest earnings on our reserves have dropped off dramatically, and so that, in my mind, that's a good reason why we shouldn't have excess reserves. We should utilize those, and especially at this time when taxpayers themselves are feeling a financial pinch due to the economy and the COVID circumstances. So I heartily endorse the recommendation of the Budget Committee. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. And I'll just add, when we set the preliminary one, I was probably the one slamming my fist on the desk more than anybody that we needed to lower it, and we did. And I commend everybody for their work regarding that. So I will move for the 2.5% levy increase, and I'll be looking for a second.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
I think it was Ron. Is that appropriate, Ron? The second? Yeah. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeier?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank
All
you.
right, item B.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Item B, consider adopting resolution 20-CB39-39, establishing the McLeod County Economic Development Committee. This committee will serve the public interest by providing advice and recommendations to the McLeod County Board of Commissioners regarding economic development and those issues that impact economic growth, support existing business and economic efforts, while expanding the tax base throughout McLeod County in cooperation with existing economic development authorities and municipalities throughout the county and our region. And I just want to point out for anyone watching that maybe does not know the difference, Economic Development Committee and an Economic Development Authority are two quite different things. This would be a committee, just like many of the committees that we have throughout the county. The committee will be comprised of 7 members, which would be 2 county board commissioners and 5 community positions. Thank you.
Okay. We've had several workshops about this that have been well attended, open to the public. We have worked with some different agencies, including the Extension Office and some consultants to help us form this effort. And I think it will help, hopefully, increase the tax base so that we're not having such a difficult conversation regarding the levy every single year. I'll quickly open it up to the other commissioners.
And Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is just another step. And finally, after a few years of work, getting to where we need to be and being able to focus on the economic opportunities that McLeod County has, and like you mentioned, increasing our tax base. We have the ADI or AD Advantage that is at play as we speak, gathering data for us. And the next step is a committee to be able to make recommendations and network within the community and bring those to the county board. And this is just another step. And then of course our next motion is to seat those people on there. But I'm glad we're finally getting here. This is definitely this particular board has been putting in a lot of time on this, and we feel it's important that this board vote on the implementation of this committee and its members. I will make a motion to approve the establishment of this committee.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
I will second that, Commissioner Pohlmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hagel is yes. And I apologize. I feel like I cut somebody off. It is so difficult to get to know. Was there somebody, was it you, Ron, that had a comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, but it was just complimentary is all it was. So I congratulate the group for working on this effort.
All right, thank you. All right, item C.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One moment, please. Scrolling down. Consider adopting Resolution 20-CB-40, appointing members to the McLeod County Economic Development Committee. Voting members will include Commissioner Doug Kruger, term expiring December 31, 2021, Commissioner Paul Wright, term expiring December 31, 2021. Just explaining that all of our commissioner committee assignments expire are only 1 year long. So that is the reason for those dates. And then also adding in Commissioner Joe Nagel as the alternate for either of those other commissioners with the same term expiration of December 31, 2021. The five community members would include Adam Burkholz, community member 1, term expiring December 31, 2023. Gail Hazy, community member 2, term expiring December 31, 2023. Don Martinez, community member 3, term expiring December 31, 2023. Carl Pinsky, community member 4, term expiring December 31, 2022. And Craig Powell, community member 5, term expiring December 31, 2022. Now, without listing some detail about those people, since sometimes people have the same name, I just want to give a little bit of information on the area that each of those represents. Community member 1 representing the city of Winsted area, the Winstead area, and he is the current city administrator. Community member 2, a business owner in Glencoe of Security Bank and Trust, but also a business owner through Glencoe, Plato, and Broughton locations, and several other committees throughout our county. Community member 3, he is I believe, the president of Sun Bank in Hutchinson area. Community member 4, a business owner and resident in the Plato area. Community member 5, a business owner and also a township committee member in the Hutchinson area. Non-voting members would include, without expiring terms, ex officio members, myself, County Administrator Sheila Murphy, Finance Director Colleen Roback, Environmental Services Director Mark Sletsky, and a future Economic Development Director, just understanding that those positions would hold, whoever's in that role would hold those positions on that committee. Thank you.
All right,
Mr.
and
Chair?
Sheila, all these people have been, just a second, Paul. All these people have been approached and accepted, right, Sheila?
All of
Pending our
these people
approval?
have indicated that they would accept pending our approval. If there's any issues, though, that then the committee could meet and make any changes needed later. Thank you.
All right, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, just to comment, our the people that we selected are definitely across the county. They've had a good ear to the ground during this process, and our 2 representatives from kind of the finance are also very well supported within the agricultural area, which is very important to me. Capitalizing on the very strong agricultural assets that McLeod County has, and our business owners are owners of great McLeod County businesses. And so I think that coming out of the gate with the committee, I think we have some good people to serve, and our ex officios as well. The last one then to fill would be our someday to put our economic director in that spot, which we will be working on that position as well.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would echo what Commissioner Wright just said, and I mean it's for the whole county. That's the only way we're going to make it work. We're going to try to draw all our community, our cities, economic development, so we start working together. I really believe that by doing this, there's an interest in making McLeod County better, which helps everyone. I know that sounds a little cliche-ish, but it's not only for getting new businesses, but in the environment that we're in right now, we're going to be able to keep track on the businesses and the struggles that they're going through right now in these different times. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Sheila.
I know it's a long meeting. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that everyone knows we have spent months visiting these different cities, working with the different committees throughout the cities, having meetings, inviting people from different cities, townships, businesses, schools. More than months. I know that we've been working on this since I've been here in different capacities, but it has really ramped up over the last few months. And so although you don't see all those members listed on the committee, because of course that's not possible, many people have been involved and continue to be even throughout this week. More employer interviews with our project going on. So I just want to thank everyone who has helped us this far. Thank you.
All right. So
Mr.
we would
Chair,
need a motion to approve these members.
Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion to approve the committee of members.
Kruger, second.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Here now we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item D.
Thank you. Item D, consider adopting resolution 20-CB-41, setting the 2021 McLeod County Commissioner salary per diem and mileage reimbursement rates. We met as a budget committee, and Colleen, are you still online with us?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you go back on camera, please? Just shortly, can you share the salary, per diem, and mileage reimbursement rate recommendations, please?
Yes, so the recommendations for the 2021 non-union wages is 3%?
No, sorry, no. We're on item D.
Oh, okay, sorry.
2021 McLeod County Commissioner salary, per diem, and mileage reimbursement rates.
Oh, shoot.
It's on the screen. If you can give me a moment, Mr. Chair, I will pull up the recommendation for the salaries.
That'd be great.
Can you give me a moment, please? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. No, 1 moment. So when we were working, Colleen and I were working together to present to the budget committee the different options for salary increases for our commissioners and our elected officials, which, I mean, just 1 moment because I can't see what you're seeing. Thank you. Then we made a recommendation that included the current elected official salary options, and then showing what the different increases would cost the county. And Commissioner Wright, you are online, of course, correct? And so is Commissioner Kruger, even though I can't see your faces right now. Would one of you want to share your recommendation from the budget committee of the percentage for the commissioner salary increases?
Well, I can start that. This is probably the most awkward motion of the year,
right?
Where you get to set your own salary, and I guess my discussion is going to be about where we set all electeds together. Although I know on the agenda item the commissioners are separate, and then a few items down we set the others. We had a 3% increase budgeted, and well, that's where the budget started anyways. And as we sat down, we tried to figure out, well, the elected positions are a little bit different than the hired staff for the county. And definitely to agree, if you're in an elected position just for the money, you're doing it for absolutely the wrong reasons. And we felt that it's also very hard to set commissioners on one level and of an increase and the other electeds at a different one, and how do you really rationalize that? There's been times where McLeod County elected officials have gone at zero during economic stress, and then there's times where we stayed with the increase for the rest of the payroll. We're budgeted at 3%, and today we're going to recommend a 1.5% increase for the commissioner's salary, and this will also be our discussion for all the others as well, that all electeds will be at 1.5%, and that is our recommendation. A few years ago, we had to go through a process of upping several of our elected positions because they weren't even close to where other county positions, elected positions, were being paid, and that is reckless financial management as well. And so we didn't want to cut things too short, but we do need to acknowledge that the elected positions maybe need to feel the economy a little bit more than the others. I hope I kind of said that right, but it is 1.5, and then as far as the per diems and the mileage rate, just leaving those alone, keeping them the same as before. I don't have the exact number in front of me, what that comes to at that 1.5% increase, but Commissioner Kruger, any additions on that?
No, just in full transparency, Commissioner Wright and myself did discuss this at a budget committee meeting, and we looked at several different options, and this is the one that I guess we both agreed on, and trying to show good faith to our constituency and our elected officials. But these are different times. Doing nothing, I guess, was not an option. We sooner or later, there's going to be new commissioners stepping up, and like Commissioner Wright said, if you're doing it for the money, you're absolutely you're looking at the wrong place to go. It is a tough job. It's worse than it was before. I mean, it was easier to go face to face. You could probably drill down a little harder on these different subjects, but again, I'll feel confident in doing this if this is what the board wishes to do. It doesn't hold steady, but it has a forward movement. Thanks.
Thank you, commissioners. Mr. Chair, I just want to note that, like I said, we did present a 1, a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, and a 3% increase option to the budget committee. The current 2020 salary is at $31,292 annually for our commissioners. A 1.5% increase represents $469 of increase, bringing the 2021 salary recommendation that Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Kruger just discussed at 1.5% increase to $31,761 that they are recommending, with the per diems remaining as fit for 2020 at $75 for half day, $125 for full day, and the mileage rate staying consistent at 35 cents per mile. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Doug.
Just one little addition here. Those per diems carry across into our committees. And I've had that discussion earlier that we're trying to utilize our committees. And again, it's not a lot of money, but it does carry across into these committees, and it's worth their input for us commissioners to make our decisions or see what we're missing. So I guess I attend probably more meetings than the most, and I actually don't know where to draw the line. I mean, hopefully next, when we do our committee appointments, we can look at that to be a little, I don't want to say fair, but the interest of the people that serve on these committees, it affects them as well. So thanks.
All right, real quick, Commissioner Pohlmeier, anything you'd like to add? And just so you're aware, I'm going to move the other elected officials to right behind this, because as Commissioner Wright indicated, they really mirror each other. So, but we still are on the commissioner's piece. Commissioner Pohlmeier, anything to add?
I'm very comfortable with in fact, I'm pleased to see the budget committee recommending a 1.5. Thank you.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Mr. Chair, I am approving as well. I think the budget committee, give it serious consideration. I am okay with their decision.
Very good. All right. Well, most awkward motion of the year. Who wants to make it?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the 20 CB-41 rates at a 1.5 with the per diem staying as explained by Administrator Murphy.
Yeah, and the mileage too, right?
And the mileage, yes.
Yep. Mr. Chair, as the other outgoing commissioner, I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Pohlmeier, second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeier?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Again, in the sake of just trying to stay on the same topics, we'll take item G. Anything we need to add to that, Sheila, considering what we just talked about?
I don't believe so.
I don't either. So the budget committee, anything?
I just have the rates for you.
Right, and I'll get them into just a second, but just the discussion piece. Commissioner Wright, anything you think
Yeah,
as
I
far
think,
as discussion goes, the thought process?
No, I think, like I'd stated before, we didn't feel that it was worth trying to divide at this point the roles of the different electeds throughout the county and keep everybody the same. So our recommendation is to just maintain that 1.5% increase, and just to add the total at 3% for all electeds. That was somewhere in the neighborhood of $16,000 per year when you put them all together. By going down to 1.5%, that is an $8,000 decrease within the budget. Colleen, if I have that wrong, you'll have to correct me, but I think I remember it right. So.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, Sheila, go ahead.
Thank you. Item G, consider setting the 2021 McLeod County elected official salaries. As Commissioner Wright noted, again, we presented 1.1% increase, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3% increase options to the Budget Committee, with the 3% increase option having an overall cost of $16,663. And as indicated, the interested recommendation from the commissioners at 1.5% increase of $8,331 total cost. I will leave it at that, and also that the per diem and mileage rate would remain the same as current.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I just want to add, I think by decreasing the increase, there is absolutely zero message there of not doing the work. That's for sure. Our electeds have been working harder than ever, as well as our employees on within the last year of trying to adopt the new changes that we're all in. Anywhere from trying to make sure that there's plenty staff by rotating within the sheriff's department, to all the changes in the auditor treasurers, things up at the North Complex recorder's office and so forth, trying to prepare for what happens if a lot of the workforce needs to be gone because they're sick. And the job of the attorney's office is definitely, it's always there. It's always there handling the things that we prefer not to talk about. And so there's, again, that's not a reflection of any kind of a decrease in work, because I think that our workload has increased across the board in making sure that everything works. So just wanted to throw that in there. Thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Doug, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. I was trying to figure out a way how to say that. I mean, the second most awkward motion of the year, but it is absolutely no reflection of what's going on, of how their duties were hard performed. Everybody's doing an excellent job. I mean, we're working together. I'm really proud of McLeod County and how it is, but and that's probably to be in full disclosure, when we had our conversation as a budget committee, that's why we actually didn't stay at zero. I mean, we had to have some forward movement on the appreciation of what everybody does do. I wish we could do more, but this was what fit in our budget. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, I'll yes, Ron, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I would make the motion that we set our elected officials' salary increase at 1.5% for 2021.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Commissioner Pohlmeier.
By Commissioner Pohlmeier. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Hearing none.
Mr. Chair, I don't care about the amount, but you're required to consider each of the elected officials, the commissioners at one, the attorney by itself, the sheriff by himself, the auditor treasurer by itself, and the recorder by itself. That's what the statute requires you to do.
Thank you for that, and I apologize. I didn't know that. All right, so, well, I'm gonna throw that motion out. All right, so the motion that was on the table is it's not appropriate right now. So we will take it one at a time. Sheila, do you have something you wanted to add?
I have the amounts, Mr. Chair, when you're ready to go over them individually.
Okay, we will take the county attorney's office. So the county attorney himself.
County Attorney Michael Young's 2020 salary at $126,237. 1.5% increase would bring our county attorney for 2021 to $128,131.
Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I make the motion that our county attorney salary for 2021 be set at $128,131.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second. Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. The sheriff, please, Sheila.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our 2020 current salary for our sheriff, Tim Langenfeld, is at $102,366. A 1.5% increase reflected for 2021 would bring our sheriff's salary to $103,901.
Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'd move we approve the sheriff's salary at $103,901.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. The auditor treasurer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our auditor treasurer salary for Connie Kurtzweg in 2020 is at $87,975. A 1.5% increase reflected for 2021 salary would bring our auditor treasurer to $89,295.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Kruger.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Aye.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. The recorder, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our recorder salary for 2020, Lynette Schrupp, is at $82,392 with a 1.5% increase for 2021 projected. That would be $83,628.
I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. I believe we got them all right, Sheila?
Thank you.
Okay.
Going back up to item E, consider adopting adopting resolution 20-CB-42, setting the 2021 McLeod County Committee member per diem and mileage reimbursement rates. As discussed previous, it would be the same as the commissioner recommendations that were voted for approval at $75 for half day, $125 for full day, and a 35 cents per mile mileage reimbursement rate, all remaining the same as 2020.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve item E, resolution 20 CB 42.
Excuse me. Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Szymanski?
Aye.
Wright?
Yes.
Polmeyer?
Yes.
And Nagel is yes. Item F.
Thank you. Item F, consider setting the 2021 non-union wages and wage scale. As previously discussed for all 8 union, well, there's one down here, so 7 have been brought to you of the 8. We did a 3% increase in wages for 2021 for 7 of our 8 unions, and that's what was recommended below 2 for the 8th. And then we did a 1.5% wage scale increase for all of our unions as well. So when asking you to consider setting the 2021 non-union wages and wage scale, we're asking for a 3% increase in wages for those within their wage scale amounts, and then asking for a 1.5% increase in our wage scale across the board from lowest to highest wages.
So moved.
So it
Mr.
is not,
Chair.
it is, oh, sorry.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Paulmeyer. Sheila, go ahead.
I just want to assure you that that does not mean we're asking for 4.5%. It is only a 3% adjustment per employee who is eligible within their wage scale range. The wage scale adjustment is only to the scale. Thank you.
And that is also consistent with what was negotiated in the 7, hopefully soon 8 contracts.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger.
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Commissioner Paulmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Thank you.
Item G, we already covered, correct? And then
yes.
Item H, thank you. Item H, consider approval of health insurance addendum with Teamsters Public and Law Enforcement Employees Union, local number 320, effective January 1, 2020. I'm really sorry, but I don't know that that is an accurate description of that union listed in our agenda.
We do have another meeting. Would you feel more comfortable bringing it back on the 29th?
I would not, because it will affect their contribution, or actually that will be fine because it won't start until January 1. Thank you. I would. Thank you. I want to make sure it's correct.
Yeah, I do.
Table?
So we'll pull it. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. Item I, consider approval of the collective bargaining agreement with Minnesota Public Employees Association Deputy Unit for December 22nd, 2019 through December 17, 2022. You've been expecting this item on the agenda. We're very happy that it can come before year end. It has taken a lot of resources for us to go to mediation for this. And I want to thank our committee that works on that and our bargaining unit for working together with us and getting this resolved. And it reflects all of the terms that you have either been notified of or that are in the packet which you have had for review. Thank you.
And as I was sarcastically alluding to, this would be number 8, right, Sheila? This is the last one?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement with Minnesota Public Employees Association. Oh, wait. Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Paulmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing now, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger.
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Commissioner Paulmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Item J, notification of board workshop to be held. One moment. Item J, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on December 29, 2020 via Zoom and at the McLeod County Fairgrounds Agribition Building where we're at today, 840 Century Avenue Southwest, Hutchinson, Minnesota. With that said, also I would like to ask Mr. Chair for a very quick 2-minute recess just to discuss the timing of our meetings after this. And also in the chat, you may have seen that our finance director, Colleen, noted that that is the correct name in H. However, it does not list which unit it is. So we will not be covering that until our next meeting. It will stay tabled. Thank you.
That sounds fine to me. And yes, take what time you need. Go ahead, and if you have to excuse yourself, I am going to take the open forum and press relations, but I will not recess until you're ready. Okay.
Thank you.
Right, so
thank you. Okay.
Yep. Any open forum? Anyone wish to address the board? Press relations? Hearing and seeing that there'll be a brief recess, and we'll discuss the timing of our social services meeting and workshop, which have now ran directly into each other. So hang on for a couple more minutes, and we'll get that timing. Sheila, whatever you want to do, we'll be fine with us. Sheila, we can't hear you.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We will be rescheduling our Health and Human Services meeting that was supposed to be held at 1:00 p.m. today. We apologize, but we do have people waiting for our workshop who have been waiting since 9:00 this morning and been online that entire time. So we will start our workshop at 1:00 p.m. We will notify you of the rescheduled date for the Health and Human Services Committee meeting. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll look for a motion to recess the board meeting till December 29th at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Is there a second?
By Szymanski.
Second by Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Commissioner Kruger? Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in there. Merry Christmas.
I think there was a question, are we going to stay on the same link?
We're staying on the same link.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I was on I, but I stepped away to the bathroom.
Are we staying on the same link?
Yes.
Okay, yes, we are. I just talked to Sheila. We're on the same link, everyone.
All right.